Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Jim Cornette Experience, where today, donkeys fly in New York and jackasses try to run with racehorses in Florida. It's the Bizarro World edition of the Jim Cornette Experience, and to join me, Brian Hawaiian, the cast-potting lion, the vanguard of the Arcastian pan-potting network, hoster Mr. Cody, you, the last great Brian.
Aloha, Jim. Bizarro! A pleasure to be here. That is, of course, my favorite episode of C-Lab, but it's great to be here once again for whatever you just said and whatever we're going to do.
What the fuck is going on? I don't know what to think anymore. I'm taking a sip of my Sprite Zero. It was just weeks ago that I said, well, NXT may be boring sometime, but they won't insult you with just massive phoniness or stupidity. And the roles have switched. Now I'm offended by NXT and AEW. I have to hold on.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Wasn't for you.
Oh.
I don't know if it was a grand slam, but it was definitely moons over my hammy. It was much better than NXT's gas station bologna sandwich this past week. We're going to talk about all that stuff and a whole lot more. But the big news, ladies and gentlemen, just as we went on the air, breaking news, Brian Last has ordered a new chair, everybody.
That is correct. We had a few extra minutes because of a delay, and I said I'm going to use this time to order a new chair, or technically an old chair, because it's another version of this chair right here that I don't know what I'm going to do with now. I guess I'll just destroy it or.
But you can't do that, because this chair is famous. This chair has a fan base. That chair has a family, damn it. No, the chair has a fan base. The chair has multiple Twitter accounts. The chair, if it could sign autographs, would be signing autographs. I think you got to sell the chair.
Yeah, usually that doesn't mean it has a fan base. Usually that means it has a few stalkers. I don't know. You think people would pay to take Polaroids in the chair? People always want me to go to things. I'm not going to anything, but I can send the chair around in my place. In my stead, please sit in my chair. You
could be like Fred Kohler and you're booking the U.S. champion out. In this case, it's that you're booking the chair. And I can see it now at like WrestleCade this year. There's this star, there's that star, and there's that booth is reserved for Brian Last's squeaky chair.
The great Brian Last chair. I think squeaky is kind of a nickname, but it's not actually the name of the chair.
Okay, well, yeah, squeaky is the chair's nickname. But I don't know. Could you make more money that way with the Polaroids, or just take it apart wherever the screws come out and sell like a wheel here and an armrest there? Put it up for bids.
This is a debate because I'm a baseball card collector, and one of the cool things in baseball cards that they do now that they never did like when you were a kid is they will put relics, as they call them, in packs, which basically means it's a special card. It's a little bigger than the normal card, and there may be a piece of the uniform or a piece of the baseball bat that's been shaved down, whatever it may be, a piece of a sock, all sorts of different things. And it's a cool thing to have, and they're valuable cards. The right ones are valuable. But the issue becomes, is this really a good thing? Or is this fucking with the integrity of the actual memorabilia that you bought to cut up and put into these things? Instead of a Hank Aaron uniform, there's 500 people who have bits of Hank Aaron's uniform. Is that better than actually keeping the uniform intact? It's a debate a lot of people have about the collectible marketplace.
Actually, and I can see that debate because like they've done with wrestling, they've done pieces of the canvas. And I understand that because if the fucking canvas is 24 by 24 or whatever, right? So you can't just, I've got a canvas. How do you display that in your home? So I can understand a piece of but a piece of a uniform, you could actually possess and display the uniform in a normal person's home. So I don't see cutting that up.
Well, what about the chair? I can't see cutting up the chair unless I'm going to just break it and destroy it and throw it away, in which case it's not squeaky, it's punchy. In that case, that's a whole nother thing, but I don't know. I don't know about cutting it up and selling pieces.
Well, let's let the people decide.
Oh, don't do that. John Fell will order like 20 of them tonight.
I know. I was going to, no, like, well, one piece to a customer. You can't be like Radar O'Reilly and dismantle the thing and then ship it home. Like, you remember he did that with a Jeep. He dismantled the Jeep and sent home one piece at a time, and he was going to put it back together in the States when he got home from the war. You don't remember that?
No, I don't remember that.
Apparently you weren't a big MASH fan.
No, I wasn't. MASH ended right as I was a baby, and it was not really a show for me to go back and get into. There's a lot of MASH, and I've seen bits and pieces over the years, and hey, that Alan Alda, what an actor.
Hey, that Alan Alda. Boy, I tell you what. Boy,
and I know the highlights, and I know the deaths and the goodbyes.
Ending when you were a baby. I was already in the business when the last episode aired.
But you missed that on all the cool shit I had. Thundercats, Transformers, G.I. Joe.
I did not see network television, well, pretty much from 1980, actually most of it from 1980, 81, when I was really doing 4 nights a week as a photographer, but definitely from 82 to 95, I didn't see a lot of primetime network television.
I was talking early in the morning cartoons, but same difference.
Well, I was still sleeping early in the morning because I didn't get home till 4 o'clock that morning.
I thought you might have still been up.
Well, every once in a while, when I lived in Charlotte and we had those long trips, and I always was up at night and actually was sleep as much as I could during the day anyway, right? And I'd gotten the business and my whole schedule has been thrown off. But where was I going with that? Oh, yes. In Charlotte, some of those long trips, I'd get home 3, 4 in the morning. Well, then, I'd be hungry because we left the building at 11. Fuck, I haven't eaten 5 or 6 hours. I'd be in the kitchen making cheeseburgers at like 5:15 in the morning when my neighbor who worked for U.S. Air at the Charlotte airport was pulling out of his driveway leaving for work, right? And he's pulling out of the driveway at 5:15 in the morning. It's still pitch black going to work. I've just been home for 2 hours. I'm fixing cheeseburgers. I'm thinking, what a fucked up life he has, right? Boy, I tell you. Anyway, speaking of fucked up lives, boy, we fucked a lot of people's lives up this week. The artwork on the YouTube channel has changed, and there's a reason for that, but it's been a controversy. An art controversy that we've started. We didn't realize how beloved Travis Heckle had become into people's minds and how ensconced his style was in people's consciousness, because instantly they know, oh my God. And basically the guy's allowed to get sick every once in a while, right? What's it been, 5 years? He's not taking at least 3 or 4. He's not taking a break.
Nonstop. Literally, I talk to Travis every single day, even when he's on vacations. He's the most reliable. He's the greatest. He never takes any time off.
Doing artwork on family vacations, etc. Finally, he gets under the weather, feeling puny, as Christine Jarrett would say. I told him especially, do not go to that new Bolivian barbecue place over here. And don't do it. But he wouldn't listen. But anyway, point is, get well, Travis. He's already on the uphill or downhill slide now. He's getting better.
The uphill slide, the men.
The uphill slide. Well, then that wouldn't be going uphill.
Yes, it would. The downhill slide doesn't sound like you're going. Like things are getting better.
He's going downhill, folks. He's getting better every day.
Yeah, I don't think that works.
Well, but it wouldn't be uphill because that would indicate he's slogging and fucking clawing and scratching and
you're thinking
about trying to get up to the top of the hill. And no, it's getting better now.
No,
so
you're thinking of the exercise, not the metaphor. That's the problem.
So positive is bad. Anyway,
was Don Morocco positive?
He might be. Yes, he was with me the whole time. But anyway, the point is, Travis already feeling bad. By the time you hear this, he may be back in action. But we've had a few pinch hitters doing some artwork this week while Travis is on the mend. And it evoked a lot of controversy on the YouTube channel because the last time we did a program, we didn't really anticipate Travis. We didn't know ahead of time he was going to go to that Bolivian barbecue place. So we didn't say, like, Travis is planning on getting sick this week, so we're going to take, some new submissions. So it was all a quick thing. But anyway, we applaud the new artwork, and our new artists. But Travis will be back soon. We did not future endeavor him. Many people were fearing that had happened, or there'd been some falling out, or whatever. No, everybody's friendly and everybody's happy. Just the son of a bitch asked for fucking 3 days off. God damn him. How dare he?
Yeah, we love the son of a bitch, as Jim called him there.
Yeah, we love that no good piece of shit.
And by the way, we have guest artists, and we'll mention them in a moment. And I think the beautiful thing is we have other people that have been filling in. We even have a guest coach. Jim, aren't you filling in with Aiden's softball team this week?
Yes, as a matter of fact, well, I told him, I said, look at here, put your laptop that all of you kids have these days, just put it in the dugout, and I'll get on camera here at the castle, and I'll keep an eye on the game, and I'll tell you how you're fucking up. But basically, I gave him some all-purpose advice. I said, just when you go out there to bat, hit them first, hit them hard, and hit them often, especially if they throw any of the balls at you.
In a sense, it's good advice.
Yeah, you can do a lot of damage with those bats, and Aiden, he's a big old boy now.
No one's ever approached you and said, Jim Cornette, I think I should use you as a hitting coach, but who has more experience hitting objects of all different sizes with baseball bats than you?
Exactly. Yeah, sometimes they're moving, sometimes they're not. But
that's what made Vladimir Guerrero such a great hitter. He grew up using a stick instead of a bat, and he would hit balls that were big or small, and up or down. You're the same thing. You may be one of the best pure hitters since Ted Williams.
That's true. I can zero in on a headlight from 6 feet away.
And you could teach. You could butcher the English language, and you could also teach young Aiden these skills on the softball field. Was my point.
Yes, if you could get that car or that guy was mad at out on a softball field, I could show you how to hit with unerring accuracy.
But like you said, we love Travis, and we say get well soon, and we look forward, and everyone's looking forward to seeing his art back on the channel. But in the meantime,
who's this new con man? We've had him up a few times now.
I don't know why you called him a con man. I don't know where that came from. I'm pretty sure it's the first time
he's just weaseled his way into Travis Heckle's spot, the beloved Travis Heckle. This guy's trying to muscle him out of a job here, out of his career. Who's he?
No. While Travis is under the weather, we're going to have several guest artists sit in and lend their interpretations of Jim and his views and comments on wrestling to the channel. And the first one, who has already put up several clips that are just great, is Matthew Kaplowitz, an old friend of mine. And
what's his name?
Matthew Kaplowitz.
Kaplowitz.
See, I knew you would love that last name and just hone in on it and just want to yell it out over and over.
I like
again.
that. Kaplowitz! Yeah, I judge people by how that their name sounds when I yell it when I'm angry.
Well, Matthew, some of you who have been around MMA may know from the past he was the fight nerd, and of course, he is one of the great nerds of all time. And he has a YouTube channel. I encourage everyone to check it out. YouTube.com/nerdnewstoday, where there's all sorts of stuff on the nerdiest of shit.
Nerds and their news?
Yeah, well, it's like figures and video games. And I don't even know about video games, but comic books and Comic Cons. And there was a video up of wrestlers judging their own figures, which must be interesting. I saw Scott Hall there. I can't imagine.
Oh, wait, you mean action figures?
Action figures.
I thought you were like...
in the mirror, yes.
In the mirror going, hey, I've lost 10 pounds. Look at that, And
he also has a podcast I want to mention because I know a lot of the listeners of this show love Star Trek. It's the Trek Untold podcast. It's a weekly interview show with people from the Star Trek universe, including actors, writers, stunt performers, directors, visual effects, and behind-the-scenes crew from all the different versions of Star Trek. You can follow @Trek Untold on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. New episodes every Thursday. And once again, youtube.com/nerdnewstoday. We want to thank Matthew for stepping in and pinch hitting as a guest artist. And also another artist who's just gone up on the channel.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. But you mentioned the Star Trek podcast there. Has he had George Takei on to talk about what a prick Shatner was to everybody?
I haven't asked yet if he's had George Takei. I will guarantee if he's had George Takei and William Shatner came up.
Well, wait a minute. Don't say it like that on the show. If he's had George Takei on his show is what I meant. I don't care about their personal life.
That wasn't where I was going, but I don't know about that side of their lives either. All I'm saying is if he had George Takei on the show and William Shatner came up, I'm sure it became, oh my, what an asshole.
Oh, well, there you go. Well, I don't know. That could be open to interpretation as whether that's good or bad, depending on the situation involved.
Are you a big Trekkie? Are you a big Star Trek guy?
I like Star Trek. I'm not going to watch every reiteration of that series of Next Generations and all that stuff. I want to see Kirk and Spock and Bones and Sulu and Scotty and Uhura.
Apparently he's an asshole. Dan Farron, I just posted something. He was at some Comic-Con. And
Which now? I've just mentioned
Scotty, Mr. Scott.
Mr. Scott?
Apparently, I think it was him. He was at some Comic-Con and everyone there was just so happy to be around people and making money. And he said the one guy that was an asshole and stormed out was Mr. Scott.
Well, he spent years giving her all she's got.
Instead of beam me up, he beamed out of the place, apparently, and stormed out.
Walter Koenig, Chekhov, was at LexCon in Lexington, Kentucky several years ago. And he looked like if you'd have said act your age, he would have dropped over dead. He's a small fellow anyway, and it's remarkable how Shatner's still around at like 97 or whatever, and their poor old Walter Koenig he was moving kind of slow. Looked old, because he always had such a boyish look anyway. And then I guess you lose that when you're 75 or whatever.
But I guess once again, we want to say thank you to Matthew. We have another guest artist who's up there right now, Brian Long. You'll be seeing more of his artwork. We'll tell you more about that in the coming days. And we'll have more guest artists going up there. Check out the official Jim Cornette YouTube channel.
Well, now, we don't know how much room we're going to have for all these guest artists. There is a time lag and a delay. We're backed up on some things. So we're constipated on clips. So we're going to be getting those out there quickly. So a lot of people are going to be doing this in a short period of time.
And Jerry Lawler, I will get back to you. Just give me some time. I know you want to get in on this. Just give me a few minutes. I'll get back to you.
Quit now, for heaven's sake. All righty. Anyway, here's a transition.
Thank God.
From the king of wrestling, Jerry Lawler, to the king of website crashers, Hotchkiss Featherbottom. Next weekend is the big weekend. Hotchkiss's life is literally on the line here, folks. The all-new JimCornette.com is scheduled to finally make its debut to the world at large on Friday, October 1st. I'm not going to give an exact time. Now that we're on this bigger platform, we got to flip a lot more switches. I don't know if it's going to be instantaneous, but you do not have to worry about hopping on at midnight the previous night on Thursday night, because it will be Friday, October 1st after 6 p.m. Eastern. Get home from work, get yourself a nice dinner, and then you should be able to go to JimCornette.com and see some shit this time. This is what we're shooting for. All new server, all new hosting company, all new website, same old asshole in charge, but this one should work, but I'm not going to guarantee anything. But the first weekend in October, folks, if you go to JimCornette.com, you will not only see this fantastic all-new website, but also the store will be open, Cornette's Collectibles. We were going to try to do this a month ago. I said I wanted to make sure that everybody had time to get everything before Christmas. We've lost a month. So now we're basically going to keep the store open until I have too much shit on my hands to fill it that you would not get before Christmas. And I'm not even talking about the international orders, because, those things take a while, but I'm talking domestically, etc., especially. So is it going to be a week? In March, we did 1,300 individual orders in 72 hours. And we have the action figures that, unless a lot of people buy some multiples, we may do that many. I could probably handle in the neighborhood of 2,000, 2,200 or so in about a 6-7 week period. We will see what happens. Maybe you're fed up with it. Maybe you don't trust it anymore. Maybe you say, you lied to me before, Jim Cornette, and that website crashed again, so fuck you. In which case, if you say that, somebody else is going to get your shit. Anyway.
That's a good way to look at it.
That's a good way to look at it. So we're JimCornette.com, Friday, October 1st, after 6 p.m. Eastern, as hopefully as close to it as possible. And we will keep the collectibles store open and items on sale until I cannot handle them all. And I don't know what period of time that will be. We shall find out. Are you getting your order in early, Brian?
My order for what?
For one of my fine collectible items.
I think I have most of them.
Well, that's right. You're a noted freebie asker. Oh, can I have one of those? Oh, can I have one of those?
I need something for the little area in the bathroom where we have like things like little books and figures. And
Your little area in the bathroom where we have
the guest bathroom where people come in and we just put stuff that we really don't need in the other areas of the house.
You put me in your guest shitter?
So people could see you. It'll inspire them to come out of that bathroom with a whole new attitude.
I remember that time I was visiting last in New Jersey. I went in his shitter and I looked at Cornette's face for 5 minutes, and I've never had such an enjoyable bowel movement.
That's all right. My wine cellar is dedicated to Andre the Giant.
Anyway, I got an email from one of the listeners. Would you like to hear it?
Yes.
Good, because if you'd have said no, I'd have read it anyway. And it is from a friend of ours, Charlie, from Starkville, Mississippi.
All right.
And it's about something that we talked about last week that you were once again blissfully ignorant of. The controversy over, who was the original Roy D. Mercer or Leroy Mercer? And I mentioned some of the background that I had read up on, but I wasn't sure on all the details because it had been years and years since I read the article. Charlie from Starkville brings us a bunch of people sent clips, tweeted clips, said this, but Charlie concisely here in this one email brings it up to date for us. The Roy D. Mercer character was based on Knoxville, Tennessee resident John Bean's Leroy Mercer character from the 1980s. And these are the original tapes that we passed around in Smoky Mountain Wrestling, obviously being close to Knoxville, and everybody was listening to these at the time. He goes on to say Bean's character used many of the same lines that were later used by the Roy D. Mercer character. Bean was dying of terminal cancer when he started to make and record the phone calls. He sadly passed away at his early 30s. My father told me a story that the FBI was searching for and found Bean, but didn't take any action against him because his cancer was so advanced. The Roy D. Mercer character was created by disc jockeys Brent Douglas and Phil Stone from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Plagiarizers. Brent Douglas voiced the character, and the segments became so popular that Capitol Records released collections of the calls on CD in 1997. The early releases of the CDs in the late 90s sold between 250 to 300,000 copies. Below, and actually he sent me a link, so I can't click on the link because the email's on a piece of paper in my hand, but below is a prank call they made to Goldberg when he was in WCW. So there's a call out there on YouTube. I guess you can type in Roy D. Mercer Goldberg, and the people who ripped off the poor terminal cancer patient for his gimmick called Bill Goldberg. But anyway, that's the true story in a nutshell of Leroy Mercer and Roy D. Mercer. And the poor guy who started the whole thing didn't get any of the royalties from those hundreds of thousands of DVDs, I'm sure. I figured you'd be all up in arms over something like that.
Why would I be up in arms over that?
Here, these plagiaristic DJs took advantage of this poor, her terminally cancer-ridden patient here that invented something that lives on to this day. If only Stephen P. New had been practicing law back in the 80s, shit like that wouldn't have taken place.
Well, first of all, Longmont Potion Castle is still the greatest. Second of all,
for heaven's sake, with your Longmont
and his phone calls to celebrities, take it to a whole nother level. He didn't just call up Alex Trebek and prank him for like 15 minutes saying he was from United Parcel. But then he started just connecting Alex Trebek to random people throughout the country multiple times. And Alex Trebek always stayed on the phone and tried to explain to these people what was happening. That a crazy crank phone call man is connected Alex Trebek to random citizens.
Uh-huh.
Genius stuff. Yeah. But what I was going to say is...
Longfellow Whistlemont or whatever, or Whippoorwill.
Did they take advantage of him? I mean, he'd already passed when they started doing it. Was that what happened?
Well, yes. And I would think that that man has a family.
Svengoolie isn't the original Svengoolie, right?
But he had permission.
He was the son of Svengoolie, and then he became Svengoolie.
He wasn't actually the son.
But that
started working as the son of Svengoolie.
Yeah.
Because the original Svengoolie blessed him with that and then allowed him to take over, because we all fade from the scene with age. So the new Svengoolie took over, but that was with permission in an amicable transfer of power. Anyway, speaking of powerful, apparently people were up in arms at me a week or two ago when I said that it was a week ago, Rosario Dawson, when she hopped onto Malachi Black on AEW and he can't get her off his back. And I said, this guy is supposed to be a fearsome new heel and he's getting the shit kicked out of him by a D-list game show host. And she must have good PR agents if nothing else, because massive amounts of people have done the tweets and the emails and the whole 9 yards. Oh my God, Rosario Dawson is a huge star. Rosario Dawson is world famous. Rosario Dawson's in Star Wars. I've seen Star Wars a number of times in the last, 43 years since it was released, 45, 4, whatever. I've never seen Was she 2? Was she 2 years old when she was in Star Wars?
She isn't in any of the Star Wars you would have seen.
Oh, she isn't in any of the real Star Wars movies. She's in some of those Star Wars movies they make now, because anybody can just be in a movie now. That's what it is. That's what you're telling me. Well, that's different then. Oh, come on.
I think she has a TV show. I think it's actually on Disney Plus.
Oh, she's on Disney Plus.
Which is a big deal. It's just not a big deal to you because you have no idea what it is, but it's a big deal. She has her own show.
I'm not 7 years old.
But no, other people watch.
Plus, is she co-starring with Tinkerbell and
it's
possibly Chip and Dale?
It's a show within the Star Wars universe, the one with Baby Yoda. Have you heard of that? The Mandalorian.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. In other words, it's not in a major movie theater grossing hundreds of millions of dollars around the world. It's on Disney Plus. She's a big star. That's what it is.
She's a pretty big star. I don't know why this is the hill you're going to die on. She's a big star.
Is she a big star in martial arts movies where at 125 pounds and 5'6" or whatever, she ought to be beating the shit out of Malachi Black?
The way they used her was ridiculous. I will not in any way excuse that. I'm arguing her star level, not her ability to attack top flight heels.
She's hosting a game show on TBS with Cody Rhodes and Snoop Dogg.
And so is Snoop Dogg, and Snoop Dogg is a massive star. An all-time star from hip-hop and rap.
Well, that's like being the nicest guy in prison.
Oh, no, it's not. You stop it.
I'm just saying, if I guess since the bar has been lowered, Rosario Dawson is now recognized as a superstar.
The bar now, unfortunately, is just you have to be a part of projects that gross tens and hundreds of millions of dollars, and unfortunately, with that bar, she is in fact a superstar.
Yeah, well, she was in it, huh? She was in it when somebody else was drawing all the money and she was around.
Oh, is that what you said?
That must be what it is. Anyway, I'm feeling frisky today, Brian. Don't fuck with me. Because I realize something. I'm coming up on an anniversary next week, the same week that the all-new JimCornette.com debuts. Because I've had so many websites crash because of my increasing popularity. How often does somebody completely disappear from the public eye in person and get even more popular?
Not too often.
Not too, but I have done it. I have been off the road officially for 2 years next week. And I realized that when I was looking at the calendar and etc. There's an asterisk by that, Brian, because I did go to the Bobby Eaton show that Sigmund and all those guys put together in Knoxville in December of 2019. That's the last official wrestling event that I have been to. But I've been off the road for 2 years. And as I've mentioned, my weight, after my birthday cake last week, I gained 5.5 pounds in birthday week. But my weight has ranged within a 5-pound range between 198 and 203, 204. I've never slept so good in my life, or so consistently, or so regularly. Except for my various aches and pains from the stupid things that I've done in my life, physically. Everything's lovely. And the Sprite Zero shortage. Except for that, everything's lovely. But I've sat and thought about this again. It's probably been since I was 15 years old, at least, that I had normal sleep patterns and didn't disrupt them with long trips, long drives, multiple nights in hotel rooms, et cetera, because of the wrestling business. It's a wonder that I've made it this far. And I've turned over a new leaf and have become, early to bed and early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. And see how I've even gotten wiser. But what the things I used to do, I'm surprised I'm still alive. That daggum Legends of the Ring trip a few years ago, it was, to recap really quickly, I drive 600 miles from Louisville to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania on a Wednesday and stay in a hotel, and then another 180 miles to that, what was that town in New Jersey, that hotel? It's off the New Jersey Turnpike, Monroe, isn't it? Yeah, Monroe, New Jersey. Where there's literally a hotel there off the turnpike and nothing else. There's no town. There's no nothing. And I'm trapped there for 3 days. We shoot 3 different 2-hour shoot videos with kayfabe commentaries, including that was the weekend that Terry Funk, his plane was late from Amarillo. He had to go to a show on Friday night, and so we didn't get a chance to do the taping first. He came back after the show, and we shot from 1 to 4 in the morning, him having come all the way from Amarillo, me having barely slept the, previous day, then did a convention, and then left and drove to Allentown, Pennsylvania, checked in. I never went to bed that Friday night because I had to do the convention by myself, load all my shit in and out. I went to a restaurant the first time that I'd eaten in like 24 hours and spent $120-something for myself, binge ate and slept 13 hours, did an autograph session in Allentown on Sunday, and drove back fucking home. So I would go on these trips and I'd gain 8 or 10 pounds, and it would take me 3 or 4 days of healthy shits to lose that weight, and go 72 hours and sleep 5 hours during that period. I'm surprised I'm still alive. I don't know why that I didn't, before now, Brian, go to some kind of training school or take some kind of course and get a brand new fucking line of work.
Very interesting. I think you've now realized the potential that's there to work from home.
Yes, and if you'd like to work from the home that you're in, even if it's a state home, folks, all you've got to do is sign up with the fine folks at Codecademy. Because no matter where you're institutionalized, if you can get to a computer, Codecademy can help you change professions and learn to code on your own terms. They can help you reach your coding goals. I know you're sitting there right now. You're tugging at that straitjacket, and you're looking at those padded walls, and you're thinking, I've always had goals on coding. Well, now's your chance, because if you can get the people supervising you to let you near a computer, you can sign up with Codecademy, and it's the best way to learn code online. They not only teach you job-ready coding skills, but also help you build unique projects for your portfolio, which is better than the paper mache you're doing in arts class now, because they won't let you have sharp tools or metal instruments.
God.
Folks, at Codecademy, you can get qualified for in-demand jobs in as little as 2 months. You can learn at your own pace and your own level, no matter how long it takes. They'll stick with you. No matter how stupid you are, they will figure out a way to beat this into your head. Choose what to learn, from building websites to analyzing data and everything else you could want, no matter what your experience level. Even if you're completely clueless, you'll be writing real working code in minutes. Nobody will be able to read it, but you'll be writing it. Folks, learn coding languages, including Python, HTML, CSS, SQL, JavaScript. Yes, I'm sorry. I started off on the wrong syllable there. Not sure where to begin? I don't even know where I'm going to end. Codecademy will point you in the right direction. You can get instant feedback like "you suck" and "fuck you," or ways to make you better.
That's not the feedback
your code
you'll get.
is tested. No, that's not the way they speak to you at all. That's the way that I would speak to you. But I'm not doing this. Your code is tested as soon as you submit it, so you'll always know that you're on the right track. And the light in front of you is an oncoming train. Folks, build your portfolio, get a certificate of completion to make yourself more marketable to future employers. I always pay people more money whenever they bring me to completion or the certificate of completion. Test your knowledge with tailor-made quizzes just for you. They'll even give you cheat sheets, because these people have no morals, and they'll teach you to cheat. You can get help from other learners in the forum, or connect with people near you in your local Codecademy chapter. You know, they have frequent meetings, your local Codecademy chapter, where things are sometimes set on fire. Be a part of
No. God damn it.
Be a part. Shut up now. I'm trying. You can be a part of Codecademy's community of over 50 million people. You've wondered in the past in your mind where some of these people are. Now you can keep track of all of them at the same time. Folks, join the millions of people learning to code with Codecademy and see where coding can take you. You've already seen where it took me. Get 15% off your Codecademy Pro membership when you go to codecademy.com and use the promo code EXPERIENCE. That's promo code EXPERIENCE at codecademy.com to get 15% off. Codecademy Pro, the best way to learn code. CODECADEMY.com. Codecademy. Promo code EXPERIENCE.
That's right. You don't have to be institutionalized to use it. It's a wonderful service and a wonderful skill to have. Maybe right now.
Most of the time, you get institutionalized after you use this.
No, you will come out of using this product feeling great with a whole new skill, ability, and the agility to get any kind of job you want because of these new skills and abilities that you have obtained from the wonderful people at Codecademy.
Yes, folks, once you take this course, when I snap my fingers, you will awake feeling refreshed, better than ever. But whenever you hear a car horn honk, you will walk and quack like a duck. Okay, enough talking about these secret societies that are meeting at an undisclosed location near you. Let's talk about this past week's episode of Dark Side of the Ring. It was on Chris Kanyon. And, of course, we had Evan Husney on last week and previewed a lot of the episodes. And this one we talked about. James Mitchell, Daryl Van Horn, to me, was the star of this program. He was just, and everything he said, folks, I hadn't heard the story of him finally having to pull the gun on Kanyon. I hadn't heard that one, or quite the extent of the ways that Chris would go off sometimes in James's presence, but I'd heard the box of questionable material story years ago from Mitchell, and he didn't betray a confidence. It wasn't until after that, we knew that Chris was gay, because as I mentioned, I think on one of the programs we talked about it, I never knew, and most people didn't know until he decided to come out. But anyway, the point I was going to make was that everything that James said was pretty much true. And, I think he made the program giving that kind of close, a firsthand account of the ways that Chris could, fluctuate between the nicest guy in the world and, depression and what's wrong, what's going on. So, I thought it was good. I like Kanyon so much. He was a great wrestler. He just never got in a spot particularly where that I think the probably the biggest spot that he got where he was featured was the Mortis thing, right?
Actually, I think he got featured even more in WCW after that, to be honest.
I tell it, yeah, and then they brought back Who Better Than Kanyon, but that's when there was a lot of chaos going on, and I don't know that I saw all those programs during that era. But, he was a great wrestler. It's just, I hate that he had, he felt especially, secretive, reticent for anybody to find out what was going on. And it tortured him mentally, as you could tell throughout the whole program. But he was always trying to help guys in the ring and help people in the ring. I've said many times that, he worked in OVW and was completely selfless and didn't care about putting, the younger guys over just because he'd been on TV. And even when they wouldn't send him, sometimes he wanted to come just to stay in shape and to contribute to our show, since they weren't putting him on theirs. And I got to be honest, I think even one time he was in a program with Johnny Jeter, and I had let him come up with a lot of the nuts and bolts of it, because it was to put Jeter over, and he did magnificently. But I'm pretty sure that he even came back to finish that one time on his own nickel, because they were going to bring him back up and they weren't sending him to OVW or whatever the case. And he came back on his own. And as I recall, the match he had with Jeter on TV, it would have fit right on Raw in that era. It was that good, because he was motivated not only to show what he could do, but to help other guys. And, I have no explanation. I'd heard about the Boy George thing, but I'd never seen it because I didn't watch the fucking WWF show at that period of time, because it hurt my brain. I was doing OVW, and every time I'd watch who we were supposed to be in service for at that time period, it would hurt me. So I'd heard about it, but I'd never seen it. And it was even worse seeing it than when I heard about it. Do you remember or have any context as to how that was presented that wouldn't just be just to fuck with him? And would it have fit in the story they were doing at the time in any other way, unless, hey, let's just fuck with this guy because he's got heat with us. We found out he's gay and we want to just fuck with him? Because even Heyman was involved in that. And I know now he's Teflon and he doesn't get any on him. But back in those days, he didn't have a lot of fans in Stephanie and people like that anyway. So what was the point of that whole thing? Do you remember?
I don't think there was any point to it. And when you see it, it was for me too. Actually, it was the first time I ever saw that. I didn't even know about the whole lisp, the exaggerated lisp while he was singing. That was the first time I had ever seen that or heard any audio from it. And it was much worse than I thought, especially that chair shot at the end. I don't know how you could see that with any knowledge of Kanyon's career and everything he had ever done on camera, on national TV. Nothing that would lead you to think that he should do Boy George impersonations on TV. There's nothing that would lead you to think this was anything but a punishment to him. For something.
And that was just ridiculous. And, I think that may have been something also. He didn't have a lisp, like they were trying to get him to portray, but he not only had that really heavy New York accent. Sorry, Brian, you don't. I mean, his was heavy, but also he had, I don't even know if it was a lisp or just, it was an unusual, what's the word I'm searching for?
A speech impediment.
Speech impediment. I mean, he could speak normally. He wasn't stuttering or whatever, but there was something that was there. And maybe some people thought that was a hindrance in promos. I don't know, but as I said, whenever I was in charge of anything that he was involved in, I didn't have a problem in the world with him, and he was always dedicated and great. And fortunately, when he showed up in OVW, he didn't have, you would have never known that guy had the depression or the outbursts or any of the other things that goes along with, whatever mental illness that he was dealing with. You would not have known that from interacting with him at the matches or at TV tapings or whatever. But at least, and then there was controversy again, and Flair actually came out and said it on Twitter this last week when they had John Cena and they had Flair on Howard Stern to basically knock Chris when he'd gone on the deal that after he decided he wanted to come out openly, then he thought that he'd get something, I think, out of that with with going on a somewhat of a anti-WWE promo tour. And that's when they had, and Flair confirmed it, they would have guys go out and fucking defend the company against people who were doing shit like that. And
yeah, go watch all the TV after the Chris Benoit thing and see some of the people that out of nowhere were defending the company. It was bizarre. Because
they were telling him to do it. So I think that, I mean, if Flair had room to talk on who's a great wrestler or not. John, you could tell when he was saying it, you just weren't good enough. I think that's just basically what they told him to say, because he kind of would have known that technically Chris was a better wrestler than he is.
And I don't think Flair was right either, because he was really good. He's someone who got himself over, even with his speech impediment on the mic, with his New York lisp, got himself over, worked hard. He was good. I'm not saying Flair was right. He was good. I'm just saying, at least if you're Ric Flair, you've got, because he wasn't better than Flair was in Flair's day. So at least you've got room to criticize somebody. But he was better than John as a performer in the ring, just not as a promo or a personality. So John might have been especially a poor one to say, well, you weren't good enough. Anyway. James Mitchell was great, though. I liked him so much. I wish he was Canadian so they could make him the host of the show.
That would be great if he had that voice narrating everything. He has,
yeah.
And he's got such a great delivery, and he's got that sardonic quality sometimes in his voice.
Bruiser Bedlam blew up a police station. He'd be great. Come on, he'd be wonderful on there.
He could be the Walter Winchell of Dark Side of the Ring. Late that night in the WCW locker room, they were plotting the overthrow of Eric Bischoff.
It'd be better than Jericho slowly reading whatever's been put in front of him. What the hell? Oof.
Well, but he does have the Canadian
tax break. That's the word you're looking for?
The Canadian tax. That's when Jericho comes in. Well, there's our little tax deduction. Anyway, but closing thoughts on the Kanyon episode, though. I've said what I've, basically I hate that he went through that. I hate that happened to him. He was a great guy. I thought it was a good episode on him. It's nice to see him get some attention. The Hardley Boys being on there just because they were fans of his. Well, I guess they could have gotten any fans, but they were passing by the Hardley Boys place in Cucamonga. I don't know what they really had to do with it otherwise than than that. But, and old Brian Cage, you could say Brian Cage, when he's working with Kanyon, he weighed like 187 pounds. But what'd you think otherwise?
Yeah, you know, I'm not a Young Bucks fan, but I didn't mind them overall. There were a few spots I thought what they were saying was a little silly, but overall, I thought I didn't mind them because, in a way, it reminded me of stuff you'd hear about Tracy. I like that they pointed out that this is a guy that, whatever he was going through at the end, he was helping young guys. Whatever we want to say about Brian Cage or the Young Bucks or anyone else,
yeah,
he was actually going out there trying to help guys. And I don't know, there's something really nice about that. There's always something about the guy who's a real fan before he breaks into the business that you could always tell throughout their life and throughout their time in the business that they were a really big fan before they got into it. And he was one of those guys.
Well, this week, they're going to profile Atsushi Onita and FMW, Frontier Martial Arts Wrestling, and the exploding rings and et cetera, but we probably, hopefully, I haven't seen the finished product, but we're going to get a look at Onita from how this was formulated and how he came up with these ideas and got started and et cetera in thinking that. And I know that I furnished them some classic old pictures of Onita from when he was here in this country in the early 80s, and the footage of the Tupelo concession stand brawl that he and Masafuchi did with Eddie Gilbert and Riggy Morton that probably inadvertently is responsible for deathmatch garbage wrestling today. So that'll be interesting whether they have time to get that in or not. That'll be the first time that's been seen ever on national television, and first time on anybody's television in 40 years. It was 1981. So we'll see. But, Onita is a crazy fucking figure in wrestling. And while I disagreed with doing the bank addicted drug robber, because that's just such a fringe thing, and it just gives people a skewed impression of what professional wrestling is. Onita drew money in Japan. Onita got elected to public office because of this tomfoolery. And he got a lot of attention. So this is something that, if you're going to cover it, at least cover the most successful example of this genre, and that would be FMW. There's never been another death match or hardcore promotion that did anywhere near this kind of business or Onita's kind of business. Has there anywhere in the world ever?
No, and you'll know Darkseid's in trouble when they do an episode on Wing. Remember that? What was that, Mickey Ibaragi?
Yeah, that was like an offshoot Outlaw Mud Show of the offshoot Outlaw Mud Show, right? I mean, they would take fringe people from the States and bring them over for $700 a week or whatever and put them in horror movie outfits. And
that's right.
Yeah, Leatherface with a chainsaw and Freddy Krueger and all this other shit. And that's why a lot of guys that said, yeah, I used to get to go to Japan back in the 90s. Well, that's the kind of thing they were doing. They were going over there and actually probably coming out of their pocket just to say they got tours of Japan to go work for the Outlaws. That's another thing, honestly, that Onita brought to Japan pretty much was the popularization of independent outlaw wrestling in Japan, which, combined with Inoki getting older and losing his mind and Baba getting sick and dying, pretty much finished off Japan as being I don't want to say that there's still Major League Wrestling in Japan, obviously, but there was only in Japan Major League Wrestling for so many years. There weren't any outlaws. There weren't any independent groups. There was just Baba and Inoki, and they saw the best in the world from everywhere. Onita is, after I know the first shoot-offs were the shoot groups and Maeda and whatever the fuck.
That's what I think really hurt Japan is when Pride took over, because then there was no turning back.
Well, but at the same time, it was still a big budget operation. They didn't have the little bitty rinky-dink outlaw groups and mud shows and garbage death matches and things until Onita made big money with it, and then everybody tried to copy it. And then, as I said, Inoki went crazy and Baba died, and then every kind of group in the world sprang up. Remember, that's where Leno tried to get me booked in Japan to book the Lucha promotion that we're sending the Mexican guys to Japan.
Universal.
Yeah. And because everything in Japan, when it started splintering off, worked at the start because people that liked New Japan and Inoki, they had seen the best luchadors from Mexico because of the relationship they had, and Tiger Mask had gone there and blah, blah, blah. But then a promotion comes in just bringing every fucking luchador. And the violent matches for Baba with Sheik and Abdullah the Butcher and the blood and the objects and everything, that had gotten over on the cards with normal wrestling. So then all of a sudden there's a promotion where all you got is garbage, blood, violence, death promotion. And then, basically you dilute the talent and you use guys that wouldn't have been able to get Japanese tours when there were only two major promotions because they weren't good enough. And then you have promotions just going overboard on every style of wrestling that used to be a part of the big promotions, but they didn't run away with it. And everything then was fragmented into little pieces, and everybody's drawing 600 people. And I think Onita did huge business, but it didn't do any good for the fucking wrestling business in Japan. One of many things that didn't do good for the wrestling business in Japan. I don't know. I mean, argue with me if you want to.
I think it's a combination of things, but I think what you bring up is important because it changed a lot of that, even though he had success, but also you started to see some people get involved with wrestling over there that would never have been able to get in with Baba or Inoki. And I think, again, that happening at the same time Baba dies, and then All Japan completely blows up and you have the formation of Noah. At the same time Inoki begins to start doing interesting things is when Pride takes over.
Doing interesting things. That's like when Grandpa walks around with his tallywhacker hanging out in the backyard because he can't remember where he's at. He's doing interesting things.
And Pride, I think the success of Pride, and you could trace it all back to, you could trace it back to whatever you want. You could trace it back to Ali and Inoki, but really Maeda forming a strong third that was big because the first one failed outside of Tokyo. In 88, the success of the UWF, and then all of a sudden all the shoot groups, Pro Wrestling Fujiwara Gumi, and all the different things that popped up, rings. And then by the time you have Pride and you're presenting mixed martial arts like professional wrestling, including featuring professional wrestlers, very often getting their asses kicked, I think that changed everything because all of a sudden people, I'm not saying people over there believed in kayfabe that it was all real, but once you completely open the door like that, there's no turning back. And it took a long time for New Japan to get to where they are now.
It meant more there that people had respect for the business as a sport, even if they knew there was an element of work to it. It meant more there than anywhere else. And then when you not only basically run shows where the wrestlers are getting their ass kicked, as you mentioned, and then the available talent pool shrinks because the territories gave way to just WCW and just WWF. So if you couldn't get those guys, the American talent was lesser, and that's who's going. So the people are seeing wrestlers getting their ass kicked when they were supposed to be the toughest ever. You're seeing less talented talent than the cream of the entire wrestling world that they had seen all those years. And people more than ever before know that it's all a work. That's what happened. And now New Japan's doing great business again. And
it took them a long time to get here.
It took them, 15 years?
Yeah, it took them a while. I mean, I know what you think about Omega, but that's one of the reasons people talk about Omega, because when it finally happened, Kenny was there, and it took a while to get there. And, unfortunately, I'm someone who used to see everything I could out of Japan. There's very little I want to see out of Japan, because sometimes you try something and you just say to yourself, what is this? What is this? Is the purpose to piss on Baba's grave? Or is the purpose just to be a jerk-off?
And that's the problem is that everybody still talks about. To me, when I see all these people on, especially the AEW fans, the faithful AEW fans that have been there since the start and thought it was good even when it was horseshit. They love Japanese wrestling. They act like Japanese wrestling is what it was 20, 30, 40 years ago. It is not. And they act in some way like that Japan is still this holy ground where the rules are respected and people treat it like a sport, and and everything's just sunshine and lollipops, rainbows and waterfalls. And it's not anymore. They have outlaw shit. They have goofy American finishes and interference in front of the referee and fucking, the whole night. They've Americanized themselves to every time to where it's, yes, at the top, of New Japan, the Tanahashis of the world and the Okadas and etc. They still have an element of star power to them, but everybody else, it's just like American fucking wrestling. And that's not a compliment anymore. So I used to, my God, my eyes would pop out when in 1984, when I got a package with the latest months of, Baba and Inoki's television programs with the biggest stars in the world having main event matches. But it's not that way anymore. And is it that the people think that it is because they're told that it is, or the people think that it is because they never saw Japanese wrestling then to understand why people started saying that? What do you think?
Well, there's certainly an element that's younger or just hasn't seen the older stuff, but there is an element that really believes it, that really thinks whatever they're seeing is the best now than it's ever been. You have to acknowledge that they may be wrong or right, but that's what they believe. I don't think there's any pretense. I think it's a genuine belief. Until AEW, and we'll see what happens going forward, but like you said, the talent pool for years was piss poor over there. I mean, I hate to say, but there's a reason why Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson were over there, because there wasn't a fucking pool of Stan Hansens and Steve Williams to pick from. And,
yeah,
now we'll see what happens going forward, but I think there has been, to its detriment, an Americanization to Japanese wrestling. And it hasn't been, to me, it doesn't make me want to see a lot of Japanese wrestling, although there's certainly stuff. I love Ishii, Okada, there's stuff I like, but there's not a lot of stuff I seek out.
And is it just me, or do even the new, I'm not saying New Japan, I'm saying the modern, the current Japanese stars, you knew immediately there was no similarity between Inoki and Fujinami. There was no similarity between Baba and Tsuruta and Tenere. They all had their own fucking deal. They worked completely differently. Much less the American, the foreigners that came in were all different, but the Japanese top stars were all different and had their own styles. And a lot of the guys, same as over here, they do the same shit these days. And there's no, visually, a lot of them look the same, and physically, a lot of them work the same, just like in the United States. I think that's a part of it, too.
I hope you're not walking us into reviewing New Japan soon on the show. It sounds like it.
Well, I'll walk us in a different direction. Do you think they'll cover when Onita won the big match, I can't remember what it was, and jumped off the bridge into the river to celebrate with all the people cheering and throwing babies in the air? And then come to find out that that's like the most polluted river in Japan, and he was all cut up from his match and had open wounds and got an infection from jumping in that sewage-infested water and nearly killed him, nearly died, was hospitalized.
Yes, I believe that'll be in part 4, or act 4.
Yeah. That's got to be I've never heard of, that is the one and only time that anything like that has ever happened in professional wrestling. And you can't say that about a lot. But nobody else has ever jumped into a sewage-infested river with open wounds and gotten a near-fatal infection.
But please feel free to try.
But you know what would have helped him out?
No.
If instead of all those sharp razor blades that he was using, if instead he had just invested in the Performance Package 4.0 from our friends at Manscaped. That would have made all the difference. Then he wouldn't have had open wounds. He would have had skin as smooth as a baby's bottom. He would have been nick-free and cut-free. He would have had no wounds. There would have been no place for all that sewage to enter his body unless he opened his mouth, in which case, well, that's a whole nother story. But folks, you don't have to open your mouth and eat a bunch of shit to have smooth, slick genital areas, taints, sphincters, and anything else on your body that you want to make slick with the Performance Package 4.0 from Manscaped. And now they are shipping worldwide, not only the U.S., but Canada, the U.K., Europe, Australia, South Africa, even Singapore. Inside the Performance Package, folks, you're going to find the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, the Crop Preserver ball deodorant, the Crop Reviver toner, the Performance Boxer Briefs, and even a travel bag. And you can put all that stuff in there along with your balls that'll be so slick and smelling so good. The Lawnmower 4.0 has the advanced skin-safe technology, the 7,000 RPM motor, multi-function on and off switch. Yes, you can turn this thing on, and then you can turn it off. And it's also got a 4,000K LED spotlight so that you can get a more precise shave when you're, especially in the dark. Brian, oftentimes when you're laying there in the middle of the night in bed, you think, God damn it, I forgot to shave my nards. And you turn this light on, and without bothering your better half on the other side of the bed, you can shave your nuts there. Just here's the thing.
In the bed.
In the bed.
Why would you do that?
Well, I was about to say, here's the thing. You end up with a lot of hair in your bed, but
yeah.
Otherwise than that, you don't cut yourself. And also, the Weed Whacker, the nose and ear hair trimmer, it's waterproof, folks. All these things are waterproof. Just turn a garden hose on them. It won't bother them. But the Weed Whacker uses a 9,000 RPM motor, a 360-degree rotary dual-blade system. So when you stick this thing up your nose, it'll whack the hair off. It's better than doing a whole 8-ball of cocaine. It'll eat the entire inside of your nose out and leave you sniffing fresh as a daisy. Did I cover everything?
Yeah, you covered cocaine and Manscaped, which I'm pretty sure wasn't in the copy.
Okay, well, the cocaine does not come in the Performance Package 4.0. I must admit that. It does. You'll have to get that separately. However, if you want the Weed Whacker and the Lawnmower and the Crop Preserver and the Crop Reviver and the Boxer Briefs and the Travel Bag, then all you got to do is go to manscaped.com/JCE, manscaped.com/JCE. You're going to get 20% off your order and free shipping. They go above and beyond your nether regions. Manscaped.com, 20% off using the promo code /JCE.
Everyone's still looking to /JCE.
Yes, everybody is. You know what I'm looking to slash off this program? Our NXT reviews.
Good move.
Oh boy, how the mighty have fallen. We're going to talk about this real briefly. I've said this before many times, but I mean it this time. What have they done? This is national television. Brian, I will ask you as an arbiter of fine wrestling and or mediocre wrestling and even rotten wrestling. This television program, from a wrestling content, from a personality content, from a star power, from a match quality content, from a booking content, from anything but production, this national television program on the USA Network would not have made a good episode of Ohio Valley Wrestling.
Wouldn't have made a good episode of California Championship Wrestling.
Oh, Jesus. And I'm serious about it, and feel free to argue with me if you want to, because you saw a lot of them. But no, the everything besides the production of this was not as good as an OVW television show. But the difference was we knew what we were supposed to be. It was local television on 3 markets, 1 big one and 2 little ones. But the matches were better. The gimmicks were better on the guys. The promos were better. The guys that didn't have any experience had more experience than some of these guys. And I think the houses were bigger. Because when we moved in the new Davis Arena, we could seat 500. Then the fire marshal got pissed and knocked it down to 425. But when he wasn't there, with standing room, it'd still be 500. Are there 500 people in? They don't call it the Capitol Wrestling Center anymore. Are there 500 people in that building?
I'm not sure. I'm not saying there aren't. I just don't know. But are they real fans? That's the other question I had based on a little bit
I don't
I've seen.
know. And during the pandemic, that was fine and understandable when you have an empty building, or then when you have a few people in there. And the building doesn't bother me as much as it bothers a lot of people in terms of, well, they need to be in a big building because all the other, okay. If it's a good looking show and there's something on it, I'll work with you on that. But when you're doing a show that the only positive thing is the production, but the match quality's down, the fucking star power and the personality quotient is down, the booking is questionable, and there's not even 500 people in the building, then you're basically, they're airing a developmental program on national television now for 2 hours. And that's why I say I liked OVW, but I knew what we were. We were local television, but the show was better than the one they're doing here. So I wonder, since they bought them from us, should they just go back and air the OVW programs in this time slot? The people would recognize that talent more than they recognize the ones on NXT now. Anyway.
You said I should argue with you. I'm waiting for the thing to argue with you about.
Well, I figured you would have jumped in if you had any differences of opinion so far. They started this program out with Tommaso Ciampa, the new NXT champion. He comes out and there's the guys in the ring, the young, hungry lions. Odyssey Jones, Braun Breaker, Briggs and Stratton, or Briggs and the Power Tool twins, Carmelo Hayes, his friend Trick, and another guy that they never identified, and I didn't know who he was standing there till later. He comes in later.
What about Von Wagner? No Von Wagner?
I don't think Von Wagner was there.
So you had Braun Breaker, but not Von Wagner.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Ciampa did a good promo about regaining the title and acknowledging the young men and women busting their asses, and gave a rah-rah speech to the fans to put them over. And he tried to basically tell them in a nice way, don't panic. They're not really fucking our show up, but panic because they're fucking your show up. Ciampa worked his ass off on this, and I think he was working especially hard because he knew that he was giving a fucking motivational speech on the deck of the Titanic. Anyway, suddenly, in addition to all the people in the ring, music plays, and here comes Cameron Grimes. Because he gets in the ring, the other guy that didn't identify his name is Joe Gacy. And he starts to talk to Cameron Grimes, but then LA Knight's music plays, and he makes his entrance talking. But then, as he gets in the ring, Odyssey Jones interrupts him. But wait, there's more music. Here comes Pete Dunne and Rich Holland. And I wrote, what the fuck is going on here? It got busy. I know they want to portray that everyone's in the hunt. But this was just one person coming out after another. There were already people standing there. They're waiting for their cues. And then basically Dunn says, well, I see a bunch of people that doesn't have the guts to take the first punch. And so, of course, Tommaso Ciampa punches him. And they have a big sloppy fight with green guys and a full ring. So when they get some of them out of there, it got better. And then I'm not going to call him Braun Breaker anymore. Steiner and fucking Ridge Holland and Ciampa and Gacy, I guess. And here's the problem. They had set something up so that the two heels could be given bumps out of the ring, and then there could come Steiner and Ciampa, face to face. But then they doomed these guys because they wanted to end up with Ciampa and Steiner face to face, but they wrote into the format for some unknown reason, because they didn't just do this on the spur of the moment. As the guys are fighting, the announcers have to say, wait, there's something going on in the back. And I swear to God, if I'm lying, I'm flying. My feet ain't left the ground. They go to a camera in the back while the guys are in the ring fighting, including the NXT champion and his 18 top contenders. In the back, there's a bunch of girls shoving at each other and yelling at each other and being pulled apart by referees. In the middle, just a camera shot for, 15 seconds? And then they go back to the ring. So what had happened was they get down to the last four, Steiner and Ciampa and Holland and Gacy. And then you see Steiner is throwing punches at Holland, and Holland is just looking up, watching where the other two guys are and talking to Steiner to tell him what to do. And possibly they were waiting for this fucking pre-tape to come up. I don't know if they were going to see it on a screen or whatever, but somehow, finally, Steiner and Ciampa shit-can the heels out to the floor, and then they go to this footage of the girls in the back. When they come back in the ring, they're back in a four-way with the guys that we just left, and the baby faces have shit-can the heels out of the ring again, just like they did seconds ago, because this was too busy. And you're relying on not only a bunch of green guys, but also a fucking VTR to pop up to distract. It was a fucking mess. And then Steiner did the promo and sounds just like his dad. And this guy, he couldn't have money written all over him any better if they'd used green crayons. But they challenged for a tag match tonight with the heels, I guess the other I don't know what the fuck. This was a mess, was it not? With all the good intentions in the world, I know what they were going for. It was a fucking mess.
Well, when you say was it not, the problem is I didn't watch this.
My
DVR didn't record it, which I think may have been because I didn't set it to record NXT. I'll just add one thing, because after our conversation about Braun Breaker last week, I guess it was, several people got in touch and said, I guess it's a story going around. I don't know if it's true or not, but it's either Rick or Scott own the rights to the name Steiner. So people were saying, that's why, Brian, that's why Vince McMahon and WWE can't use the name Steiner, because someone else owns it. To which I say, there's the difference between Tony Khan and Vince McMahon. If someone else trademarks Steiner, you know what they want to do with that trademark probably? Make money with it. You make them a deal, you use it. You don't say, oh, someone else owns something, we can't do it because we won't own it. That's the difference in philosophies, and that's why his stupid name is so stupid to everyone. He's a fucking Steiner, sounds like a Steiner and looks like a Steiner, and he will be one eventually. This is just a terrible waste of time, especially because, like you said, the little bits I've seen of him, and I did see a little bit of him from this week's show. I saw some clips on YouTube. The guy has Star written all over him.
Yeah. Well, and also, somebody else owns it. His fucking uncle. And here's another thing. How can you trademark Steiner and nobody else can ever be called Steiner? I can understand trademarking Rick Steiner, Scott Steiner, Steiner Line, Frankensteiner, whatever, but you can't just trademark a Christian name that nobody could ever use. Can I prevent any Claude Cornettes? I don't know. Anyway, it's ridiculous. And why couldn't it be a good name? Braun Breaker.
And why would you debut someone named Braun right when you're going to debut someone named Von? Considering Vince has all these hang-ups about names, you don't have a hang-up about that? Two names that are clearly fake and stupid that sounds somewhat similar, both debuting on the same fucking episode.
Oh, wait a minute. The other place has Cage and Page and Page, where they could have Braun and Ron and Don and
Lon. They need a
Anyway.
Lon. How come no one has a Lon?
Because Lon Chaney Jr. has a trademark.
That's right.
All right, the next match on this program was for the Cruiserweight title. Kushida versus Roderick Strong. Guess what Kushida was wearing?
I don't know.
Tights.
Oh, trunks.
No, tights.
Oh, tights.
Yes, he no longer dresses like Marty McFly, but I still don't care. But at least Kushida makes Roddy tall. They wrestled 60 seconds and went to the break. And in a comeback from the break, apparently all of Roddy's heat was in the break because Kushida's making a comeback. And I swear to God, I wish you'd have saw this. But folks, if you have this on your DVR or you can search it out, Kushida made a comeback and somehow missed Roddy twice in a row with clotheslines. I have never seen anybody miss a clothesline. Roddy bumped for him anyway, but there was no contact whatsoever. It was like he threw his arm and just kind of threw it up in the air over in front of Roddy and over him. And Roddy took a big old bump. And then Roddy took back over and they did several nice moves back and forth. And Kushida got a double wrist lock. And, you know, he was trying to tap Roddy out. But the manager, Mr. Bivens, put Roddy's feet on the ropes. And then the other heels in the Diamond Mine pulled Kushida out and beat him up on the floor. And then rolled him back in and Roddy hit a finish. 1, 2, 3. So they wrestled for 60 seconds before the break, and back after the break, they were done in less than 4 minutes. So this was obviously just to get the belt off Kushida. Because if they're making all these changes and they don't like smaller guys, at least Roddy looks like he's put together. Kushida looks like he's 5'2", and I'm sure if Vince and or Bruce Pritchard, anybody has anything, they probably said, hey, why is that guy dressing like he just changed somebody's oil? Does he own tights? Because at least they're old-fashioned good in that way.
Hey, you brought up how much time they spent on this match on the show. Real quick, because Alan Blackstock tweeted this out. From this past week, the minutes of wrestling per hour on each show.
Sure.
The smallest amount of wrestling per hour is SmackDown with 15 minutes per hour. Followed by NXT with 17 minutes per hour. Raw with 19 minutes per hour.
Good Lord.
NXT UK has 29 minutes per hour. And then the final two, Rampage, 36 minutes. Dynamite, 37 minutes.
Well, imagine that. And that's about... When I was formatting 1-hour television programs, would be OVW, Smoky Mountain, Ring of Honor, you've got 44 minutes of content time, thereabouts, and 14 minutes of commercials. And we tried to have between 30 and 32 minutes of wrestling as a rule. And sometimes that would fluctuate, but sometimes, and that was often not counting VTRs of wrestling, but it was just wrestling from last week. But, you know, that's the thing, is you have to have a balance. And if you've got a live interview in the show with somebody that can really talk, then that's fine. But I can't figure out how you can do a wrestling show and only have 15 minutes of fucking wrestling in the hour. That's just ridiculous. Anyway, we're not done yet with this segment, by the way. Now that they've sent Kushida off to his great reward, Roddy and the heels are in the ring celebrating, and guess whose music played? Grayson Waller.
Who's he?
Exactly. Remember, he was on the show, I think, last week or a week before that or whatever. I said, Grayson, they're not even trying now, right, with these names. What the fuck? he has music. He came out. He's apparently a British guy, by the way, and he's got rap music. I guess rap's big in England now too. He's got the accent though. The worst strut since that thing that Shane O'Mac used to do. And he cuts a promo and challenges Roderick Strong for next week, and Bivens accepts it. So we've seen Grayson Waller once, I think, on the losing team of a fucking tag team match, as I recall, and now he's challenging for the cruiserweight title. And I wrote, why does anybody in the world think that Grayson Waller should be a human being's name? Then Tony D'Angelo was on the dock again. It's an Italian gangster gimmick, and it's straight out of Goodfellas. And I bet you if this was the late 80s, early 90s, it'd be really good, but this gimmick will flop bigger than shit because nobody believes it, nobody cares, and gangsters aren't hot. And this has shit stain style written all over it.
What do you think they're going to do next to appease Vince? You think they'll have Native Americans and headdresses?
We gotta
hillbillies.
Yes.
What do you think we're going to have next?
Either a hillbilly or a Chief J. Strongbow Jr. Now, come to think of it, Scarpa's kid's no longer in the business.
That's right.
Then, Jensen and Briggs instead of Briggs and Stratton. That's who it is. Jensen and Briggs. They did a promo. And I had conflicting emotions about this because the story is that they met in a bar and got in a fight and got respect for each other and teamed up. That's the gist of it, right? And they had actual security camera footage from the bar where the one guy bumps into the other guy and they get in a big fight and they have the fight in the bar, that they're B-rolling over the top of this. Of course, it's preposterous. But it wasn't as fake looking as you would think. They did a decent job with the fight. I've been a proponent. I've been an advocate for security camera footage to catch people doing shit they're not supposed to be doing. I find it odd, if not very coincidental, that they would actually have security footage from this bar of the night they met and got kicked out of the bar, and they can requisition this from the police or whatever. I don't know. It's a little, but nevertheless, both these guys can talk. They can talk, and they can talk bullshit because they're Southern boys. So this didn't sound scripted. It sounded unbelievably believable. It's a preposterous scenario, and what you were looking at, the visual didn't help you believe it any, but at the same time, they sold it to you like they believed it. Because as I mentioned, they're Southern boys and they can talk bullshit. So we'll see what happens with these guys. They're just green. Kaylee Ray wrestled Amari Miller. Then in the back was Steiner and Ciampa. And they talked about their tag team match coming up later tonight, but then Steiner starts staring at Ciampa's belt. And there's going to be more on this in a minute. And then they were in the parking lot, and some guy was talking to these two girls, and I guess he's a wrestler. I guess they're wrestlers. They were kind of dolled up like they might be strippers. Maybe he's a ladies' man. Some guy tried to walk in the door first as the guy was holding the door open for the two girls, and he stopped the guy and ran him face first into the door because he was impolite. I don't know what the fuck's going on there. The next match. Do you remember the first time, Brian, that you saw Tiger Mask, the original Sayama?
Oh, yeah, of course.
And your mouth dropped open and you said, wow, holy shit, right? This is amazing. Well, they got a new guy, Dante Chin. He's from Singapore, and he comes out in what looks like, the martial arts face kind of covering and a robe, and he looks very mysterious and Far Eastern. And he's wrestling Trey Baxter. who looks like a 16-year-old, 140-pound mechanic. And I'm thinking, okay, well, obviously, from the looks of this, Dante Chen is going to be, and he's one of the guys that they've signed, I guess, I think he is. He's either from Singapore or China. And I'm thinking, wow, what about if they found another tiger mask, a brand new tiger mask, the shock of everybody when that's unveiled, right? They didn't find another tiger mask. This guy, I know he's green, but you wouldn't really know it because Trey Baxter did all the work. Trey Baxter, come to find out, he works like Brian Hildebrand. And he's in much the same position as Brian Hildebrand. He's a good worker, but facially and physically and size-wise, he looks like any other schlub on the fucking street. But Baxter did all the work here, and Dante Chen won with his only offensive move. And Trey Baxter kind of halfway put himself in that. So poor Trey Baxter, I don't know that I would have used him on OVW, not because of his work, but here's Trey Baxter proves that sometimes just because guys can do something, you shouldn't let them. Because he's got the working down. He can do all the shit. It just, if a guy that looks like this can do it, you think, well, fuck, how hard can this be? Whereas the other guy looked great, and probably without Trey Baxter in there, couldn't have stuck his thumb in his ass. And then I realized there's no more tiger masks to be found, because anybody that is worth anything has now been seen instantly around the world. There's no more hidden talent. Because before home video, think about this. One of the most imitated, influential wrestlers in the world was Buddy Rogers, right? Scores, legions of wrestlers down through the history of wrestling until today, since Buddy Rogers copied his moves, his mannerisms, things he did in the ring, things he said. They idolized him like the modern generation idolized Flair, and then later on idolized Austin, whatever the case, they want to be like him. But can you imagine how much harder it was back in those days to want to emulate somebody when the only way that you could see them was intermittently on television? In the days of the network TV, the 50s, every once in a while, Rogers would be on TV from Chicago. Or you had to be on the card with him, because there was no way to watch video unless you were at a television station, and films were not sold. So point is, you could have undiscovered talent, especially from other countries or even from small territories, that would suddenly burst out and people go, holy shit, Randy Savage. He debuts in New York. Nobody'd seen him for 5 years unless they could get ICW television on a cheap UHF station in fucking Kentucky. Tiger Mask has been in Japan, has been in Mexico, has been in England, but nobody in the United States and nobody really anywhere around the world besides the people who saw those TV programs in those countries or went to those shows even knew what the fuck. So all of a sudden, boom. But now everybody has a camera phone, or has every promotion has YouTube. Everybody, for good or bad, you've seen. There's no more undiscovered shockers. And that's a shame also. And Dante Chen wouldn't have qualified anyway. Brian, do you remember Dean Douglas?
Oh, unfortunately I do, yes.
Well, they're trying it again.
What?
Remember, I said that they're calling Harlem Bravado from the Bravado Brothers, from the Ring of Honor ring crew of 10 years ago. They're now calling him Andre Chase. And he is teaching a class at Andre Chase University. And he fucking tells guys how to wrestle until one of them brings up a point that takes the piss out of him and questions his knowledge or expertise, and that's when he has a temper tantrum and throws the desk and breaks shit. It is pure 1980s WWF gimmick. We're back to phony, stupid, unbelievable. Everybody's got a profession. At the top of the hour on this 2-hour television program on national television, 9 o'clock, guess what we see? Remember I mentioned that Joe Gacy? He is sitting in a chair in the middle of the ring in street clothes, looking like a guy that works in a bank. That's at the top of the hour on national television. He's doing a promo. He recites a scripted statement. They're trying to, I guess now, they really don't know who their audience is. They're trying to make him a heel because he's woke. And he recited a scripted statement about the ring being a safe space, and he wants to promote unity and tolerance and peace. And he's supposed to be a woke guy, but he's a heel because the fucking demented lunatic running this company is a 75-year-old Republican billionaire, and he thinks that's a bad thing. The only bad thing about this was the promo didn't make any sense, and the people within the first 45 seconds, because they couldn't figure out who this was, what he was saying, or why they should care, whatted the fuck out of him. What? So then, Grimes' music plays, and out he comes, and there's no challenge in this. This is a match. Gacy wrestles in street clothes. Not even fashionable street clothes, just black pants and a black shirt. Probably because he looks like one of those people that they need their bodies covered up. But he knew he was going to wrestle, but he's out there in street clothes. And then Grimes beat him with his finish, and then Gacy tried to hug him because it's still all okay. And Grimes shoved him off of it. This was fucking rotten. Then they had a package on the wedding from last week, and it was just as embarrassing this time around. Then, Brian, the next match, a main event in anybody's book, Elektra Lopez versus Anna Scheer. I wrote at this point, I wish somebody would hit me in the head so I could see some stars. Again, this match might have been okay for a practice match in wrestling school. It's the USA Network. And after Lopez finishes beating Anna Scheer, she does a promo too. But while she is cutting the promo, Death Row, she's got the lucha suits with her, Elektra Lopez does. And the Death Row rappers come out on the ramp, but not B-Fab, the girl. No, while the lucha suits are in the ring looking at Death Row, B-Fab jumps in the ring and starts just wailing a tar out of Elektra Lopez. And all of the lucha suits are just standing there watching it. They don't do anything. And then the fucking Death Row hits the ring and they pull the girls apart. But none of the guys tried to stop or to help their women. I wrote, this show stinks of 1980s WWF. Then they were in the back. Some girl in the back walked up and kissed Trey Baxter on the cheek because she thought he did as good as he could. Then Odyssey Jones is coming to the ring, but something else on this program now that they're starting, and this is Bruce Pritchard all over the place and probably Vince too. They'll send a guy to the ring for a match, but they'll go to the break. But when they come back from the break, they will be in the back for more talking with some of these peripheral characters and then go back to the ring where everybody's been standing in that ring forever, and then it breaks up the flow of a match. It's fucking, because the matches are unimportant. So Odyssey Jones goes to the ring, but first Frankie Monet is in the back with Robert Stone and Jesse Kamehameha and Raquel Gonzalez, and next week we're going to get Frankie Monet and Raquel Gonzalez. Okay, that's good, but then another girl comes in that we have not seen before and says, well, that may be big news, but next week, even bigger news, because my talk show debuts next week, Lashing Out with Lash Legend. So apparently this girl's name is Lash Legend, and she's going to be lashing out on what she actually referred to as a talk show. So we're back to Piper's Pit, but we ain't got no Piper.
And this show sounds like the fucking pits. When are we going to end this fucking review? Nobody cares about these people. Nobody cares about this show.
I'm just telling you. I am telling you, right? I'm warning the people on what they're going to see if they tune in on NXT. Because this is what it's become. Wait till you hear this. Odyssey Jones, guess who he wrestled in a handicap match? Kerry Millman and Darren Chiappetta.
Who the fuck are they?
Exactly. I wrote why, question mark. This is a 2-on-1 handicap match like the old days, no tags. And they actually did an Andre match from 1974. Really, I've seen it. They did the Andre match. They go to grab his legs and try to take his legs out from under him, and he does the fucking stomp and the headlock on one guy, or the headlock one guy has that he picks him up and throws him off while the other guy's on the leg. They did all the right stuff, but the jobbers worked and looked so outlaw for this to get over, and no. And Andre Chase came out on the ramp and watched it. So Andre Chase may be in Odyssey Jones's future. Point is, Odyssey Jones has tons of potential. He has the natural personality. He weighs 400 pounds. And he won with a splash on both of them off the second rope, which looked just fabulous. And he can be a star, and he's on a sinking ship. And as soon as the match was over, Andre Chase came in with a chair. And they were going to do some kind of spot to show how big and bad Odyssey Jones was, right? And the chair was gimmicked. Well, what they were going to do was Chase was going to swing the chair, and Odyssey Jones was going to catch it and do something to show his power with this gimmick chair. But as soon, much like me, in 1985 in Texas Stadium, when I told them that Little John couldn't break the racket unless we gimmicked it, but if we gimmicked it, I couldn't hit him with it because it was gimmicked, and they insisted. Odyssey Jones catches the chair that Andre Chase swings at him, and as soon as he catches it with his left hand on the back of the chair, the seat of the chair flew right out. And you just seen the look on their faces when the gimmick chair fell apart in front of their eyes. And whatever the spot was going to be, Andre Chase just rolled out of the ring and walked off. And then they had a bunch of guys in the back talking about their title opportunity. That's another thing. Vince will not let them say title shot or shot at the belt, because you can't say belt, but you also can't say title shot. That's why people are using the phrase title opportunity that nobody would ever say in real life, because Vince makes them say that, because he doesn't like title shot. It sounds like wrestling. Nothing else on this program sounded like wrestling. Then, remember Ikemen Hero that I told you about a couple weeks ago, Brian?
I guess.
Well, they did a special feature on Ikemen Hero, and that's spelled Jiro. Not on his wrestling. They did a feature on him in his closet wearing his fashions. And they did the fashion video where, boom, here he is in one jacket. Boom, here he is in another jacket. And apparently this guy he's obviously really Japanese because when he speaks, his accent is so thick you can't understand a word, right? But so he's only been in this country a limited amount of time, one would think. And he's very young. So I guarantee you that he's well off because they did not buy this fucking clown 75 or 100 custom-made jackets all with his face on them. He has gotten a business, but he's got money, and he's come up with his gimmick is that he wears ridiculously colored jackets with his face all over them, and he displayed all of his fashions in this video. It was fucking awful. And this apparently a Japanese mark that has clothed himself in tens of thousands of dollars worth of clothing before he has learned to goddamn wrestle. And then we had the new, that's why I'm saying, we scoffed at this. Old Shitstain was saying he had worked with the WWE on a project just a few weeks ago, and we scoffed. We said, okay, like me, they've interviewed him for some DVD release they're going to do or some documentary. But no, this is him. They redid The Beautiful People now. Toxic Attraction, Gigi Allen, Jane Wayne Gacy, and Mandy Rose with the new hair color. They did a promo in the ring, and it was long. And Mandy Rose sounds like Sable. And this is a quote. This is why I enjoyed this review. I'm doing this review because there's no way they can ever do a show worse than this again, but I'm sure they'll try. Mandy Rose's quote to the fans, she's mad at the fans now. She said, and I quote, "Where were you fans when my face was batteredly and beatened?"
I've never heard that before.
Where were you fans when my face was batteredly and beaten? And the two next to her look over and go, what? And then they just start nodding their head like, yeah, where were you? Like, we don't know what she said, but yeah, we're going to help. I wasn't going to watch this, but God damn it, it was too bad not to watch. There was no emotion. She was lost. It was like English as a second language. Gigi Allen wasn't much better. They all three spoke. Jane Wayne Gacy has some attitude to her. But, as I said, Gigi, she came out with, she didn't make up her own words. She spoke ones that she memorized over the past several days because she had to be working on it for days and days to memorize it like that. And like I said, Jane Wayne has the best facials and had the most oomph in her promo, but this was very long. And then we go to the main event that you've been waiting for. Holland and Dunn. Who was that? Godley and Cream had a hit on MTV about 30 years ago. Reminds me of Holland and Dunn. Godley and Cream. Anyway, and Ciampa and Steiner. And it was the best thing on the show, obviously. Steiner's just like his father. He can do, as I said last week, he can do all the power moves perfectly because he's strong enough to fucking put them where he wants them to go and do it safely. I'm sure he's stiff on when he lays his hands on you because he's still green, and so I'm sure that's the case. He's got an abundance of personality. He's green on selling and on transitions flowing back and forth, and everybody's talking him through this stuff, so there's a lot of communication you can see. But at the same time that he's not smooth, he's like the Road Warriors. Because of his explosiveness, it doesn't matter. They never got smooth. Even when they learned how to work, they never got smooth. It doesn't matter here because Steiner is just, you can tell he's into this. He's got personality. He doesn't look like he's going through choreography. He probably couldn't remember it at this stage anyway. But he's knocking people on their asses. What JR used to call smash mouth offense. It's not pretty, but it's believable. And look at the guy doing it. And they let him do just enough not to see through him, especially at the start, but Ciampa did most of the work. And they got some heat on Ciampa. And then he made an ice cold tag to Steiner, but the fans popped anyway because he's getting over. The fans just instantly want to cheer for this guy. They know who he is, but also just the oomph he's got. And he made his comeback with shoulder tackles and belly to belly suplexes. And when he grabs a guy, if the guy's not just like his father and his uncle, if the guy is not ready to go up in the air, he goes up anyway. You don't have to fucking push off. You don't have to post. You don't have to do nothing. He just grabs you and picks you up and holds you and turns you around. Then Dunn started working on his fingers, and they got brief heat on Steiner so that they could, then do a big four-way, and Ciampa and Dunn rolled out so that Steiner and Holland could have a clothesline battle. They're the two big beefy guys. And then they did the finish. There was a bunch of shit going on. Pete Dunne gets his nightstick. Kyle O'Reilly comes to ringside. Kyle grabs the nightstick and hits Holland with that. And they wipe Dunne out. And then Steiner hit the press power slam finish that he's using, where he just picks the guy up, press slams him, and then drops him into a power slam on Holland. Boom, 1, 2, 3, flat. So you know that they're going to shoot this guy to the moon. And then the final nod to our 80s walk through WWF nostalgia. And if they were going to do 80s wrestling, they could do anything else besides 80s WWF wrestling, because every other wrestling in the world was good then. But they're doing the one. Steiner grabs the NXT belt and he's going to hand it to Ciampa, and Ciampa's going to take it, but Steiner won't let go of it. And there's Savage and Hulk in the 80s. You don't have to make it so obvious these days because the kids aren't watching anymore. We've run them off. They're probably not coming back. So don't have to make it quite so obvious, especially now that everybody knows that it's all fake. But that was the NXT program. I'm going to watch going forward. I'm going to record the show, and I'm going to zip through and watch this fiasco to see Rex Steiner. Otherwise, they've lost me. But Steiner is, can you think of any rookie, and he really is a rookie, because as we've mentioned, it's not like that he's been on independent show after independent show in Hoo-Ha, Georgia, because they ain't been having him. We ain't heard about him. He's a true rookie. He's the best rookie in the business as far as being a potential, not just main event star, but main event megastar. Can you think of anybody else close right now?
To that level, no. I mean, I think Powerhouse Hobbs and people like that have potential, but he has potential to be the top guy.
Yeah. Well, and yes, and we're fans of Hobbs, and he does have, but already, this kid, Hobbs has been wrestling for a little while. I'm just saying, besides the name, how are they going to fuck this up, though, is what I'm worried about. And are they even going to make him to where he hates the wrestling business and wants to get out of it? That's what I worry about. What do you think the odds are, Brian?
The odds are pretty good that they'll fuck it up.
Well, you know where we need to go then to find out exactly what all the good odds are? We need to go to our friends at Stat Hero. See what I did there? Or you didn't see what I did.
I did see what you did there, yes.
Folks, Stat Hero involves statistics and being a hero and all kinds of good stuff, and you can win some money. Folks, we told you before, if you play daily fantasy sports, DFS for those in the know, then you need the folks at Stat Hero actually not even on your side. You need to be playing them because apparently they're pushovers. They'll do a job for anybody. You can whip them and win money just like that. I'll give you an example that they sent me in writing so that I could ad-lib it. I need to take a moment to breathe because last night I had $200 lineup going up against Stat Hero. For those who aren't familiar, Stat Hero is a platform where you can play the house one-on-one. All I needed was 75 yards and Henry had me biting my nails till the fourth quarter, but my boy came through in the end and I made a quick $200. Forget the sports bets. Betting on myself is the way to go now because I actually win. Now, here's the thing. If I knew who Henry was, and I assume it's football because they have quarters and there was a fourth quarter mentioned, and I bet on anything involving sports, Stat Hero would be right up my alley. But I don't do any of those things, so I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. But I do know that a bunch of you out there do indeed do these things because you've told me that. And so since you've told me that you do these things, I will bring you things to make this do easier. Stat Hero is the first ever daily fantasy sports book that puts the player in control and winning within reach. Here's how it works. Stat Hero shows you their lineups and dares you to beat them. It's you versus the house in a head-to-head fantasy matchup. And remember, every time you have a fantasy, you should be head-to-head with the person that you are fantasizing about. You name the stakes, winner take all. You've got the advantage because Stat Hero is showing you their lineups ahead of time. No one else does that. That sounds positively criminal to me. You're in control. Stat Hero is DFS the way it was meant to be, one-on-one. You're going to make Stat Hero your bitch. Play Stat Hero now and change the odds. And if you go to stathero.com/JCE and sign up for free right now, you can get 100% bonus match on your first deposit using the promo code JCE. They're matching your first deposit. What do you have to lose? What does that even mean? I don't know, but I bet you do. Go to stathero.com/JCE and enter the promo code JCE for a 100% first deposit match. 100%, Brian. And they're showing you their lineups. What more can they do? It's like they're putting you over on purpose. But Brian, what are the odds that you're going to be involved in multiple programs this week?
Pretty good odds. I would suggest you go to Stat Hero and put a lot of money on that. But in the meantime, check out what's happening this week on the Arcadian Vanguard Podcast Network. Get information about all the shows on Twitter at Superpodcast or on Facebook, facebook.com/Arcadian Vanguard. A few notes. A big episode this week of the Mid-South Wrestling Television Review Podcast, episode 100, where Mike Mills and myself review Mid-South Wrestling Television from November 16th, 1983, the debut of Jim Cornette and the Midnight Express.
Hey!
On Mid-South Wrestling TV. Hear our review and hear the first words Mr. Cornette ever uttered on Mid-South TV at midsouthpod.com, available wherever you find your favorite podcasts. It'll be up later this week. Speaking of later this week, it is finally time for the Mothership! The 605 Super Podcast, the latest episode, is now done. It will be out later this week. Brian Solomon, Howard Baum, the Top 10, Tim Hornbaker on Buddy Rogers, and so much more, including the segment where I talk about all the goings-on behind the scenes in the world of Arcadian Vanguard and, in some cases, wrestling podcasts in general. Not only did this segment get reviewed by the attorney is on the line for the segment. You'll hear it this week at 605pod.com, available wherever you find your favorite podcast. Go through the archive today. The Mothership!
That's the air raid warning. Shelter in place when the mothership arrives.
Thought it was the starting bell. I wasn't sure.
There were a few people that should have sheltered in place when the mothership landed. Well, they'll listen to the program and find out. Speaking of sheltering in place, it's time for the AEW review, where normally I drop a lot of bombs on people. But in this case, Brian, the Bizarro World. I just indicated a few minutes ago that NXT drastically let us down. The program that has been the all-time undisputed leader in letting people down with horseshit and tomfoolery and amateur cosplaying. What the fuck has happened? The whole world is turned upside down. This was one AEW from the Arthur Ashe Stadium on the Wednesday nights, what we're talking about now. Haven't seen the Friday yet, but on the Wednesday night, was this show top to bottom better than any WWE program that we have reviewed in either recent memory, or my memory doesn't go back too far for those shows, but I would have remembered one top to bottom that was as good as this, and I don't. Can you?
There's no question. There has not been a single WWE television show that has compared to this, and quite frankly, I don't think there's been an AEW TV show that's compared to this.
Well, that goes without saying. I mean, we've had segments.
Yeah, the Punk one was special for that moment, but then it was the rest of the show. This was, and by and large, they kept a lot of the bullshit off this show. This was, I think, their best television show ever.
Well, and that's why, because they kept the bullshit off the show. Imagine that. If only somebody had mentioned 2 years ago, maybe keep the bullshit off the show. But anyway, they had, again, all the elements of a major big-time production here. They had the big building that looked fantastic. They had the big crowd, 20,177 of them. Son of a gun, wouldn't you know who won the pony? You open up with the voice of Jim Ross, and the crowd pans, and everybody's fired up and there's signs. This looks like something. Then I went into this, as soon as I saw it was going to be the first match, I said, all right, Bryan Danielson and good old Twinkle Toes. Twinkle Toes McFingerbang, Harpo McFingerfuck, whatever name I've given him. Let's see, can Bryan Danielson do the unthinkable and make this clown have a real wrestling match with none of the bullshit that he usually does? That was my question, and I sat down to watch this. I've tried to in the past put out of my mind Twinkle Toes' checkered past in the wrestling business. And I again tried to. I wasn't going to make notes on this as it happened. I was going to watch it as a presentation, see what kind of a magician Bryan Danielson is, and try to put out of my mind that Twinkle Toes is famous for wrestling sex toys and kids and other guys in thongs. To the object of the match is to stick your finger up the other guy's ass, or dressed as Barbara Eden from I Dream of Jeannie, etc. And I'm still amazed, I must point out at the beginning, that this guy can get booked at all, which shows the complete collapse of the wrestling business over the last 10 to 15 years, where anybody, regardless of what they've done to expose or embarrass the wrestling business, can still participate. Having said all of that, it's the best match Twinkle Toes ever had in his life. And all he had to do was not do the fake, phony, silly shit. Danielson comes out. He's in great shape. He looks fucking tremendous. He's not the biggest guy, but he's got a physique to match his frame. The fans were ballistic for him. And Bryan Danielson would never again get this spot or this ovation if he was in the WWE. It's a new environment with fans that have been waiting to see him leave the evil empire, get unleashed where he can do what he wants to do and what he can do. And even against old Twinkle Toes, which even though, he's been a heel for however long, he doesn't, Omega does not have real heel heat because the people fucking like him because he does fancy stuff and that they enjoy. But here, they were actually for Bryan Danielson because, God, even these fans, and especially the New Yorkers, they know, okay, Danielson's a big-time talent and a major deal, and we like him and we're going to cheer for him, so they were able to boo Olivier. But, I mean, it's not a secret who led this, because why was it different than all of Olivier's other matches? Because this was a Bryan Danielson match, and he had a guy that is athletic and is a good athlete and can perform these moves to do it with him. So they started slow. They didn't run off and leave the fans like normal. Danielson was in control for a while, dictated the pace. Danielson is a great baby face, from the facials to his body language to the way that he just draws people into what he's doing. And they didn't take their first break until 20 minutes into the show, so it had time. You got involved in it. It wasn't like, okay, we've seen 4 minutes of this dream match, now we're going to a commercial break for just as long. You were into it by that point, so you wanted to stay through the break. And everything had made sense. They didn't bury the referee. At one point, they fought out on the ramp and they stayed out there a bit long, but okay, because they were still moving and it's all right. It wasn't egregious and obvious like all the other matches where they do that stuff. Coming back from the break, even, at this point, even Twinkle Toes' goofy facials worked there because Danielson was making Twinkle Toes work like a heel. And he almost killed him at one point with that, or I should say too many pronouns, pal. Twinkle Toes almost killed Danielson. Did you see the buckle bomb into the buckles that became a backwards throw over the top rope because he was off and wasn't looking, which is the problem with that move. You can't see where you're throwing the guy. And that was a close one because Brian grabbed the top rope just in a nick of time. But here's a question for you. Brian, both the Hardley Boys and Twinkle Toes use the knee lift and they both call them a something trigger. With Twinkle Toes, it's the V trigger. With the Bucks, it's the BTE trigger. Why are they using each other's move? And why do all of them look like shit? You can't take a bump off of them. And I don't know, where did they get this from? I've never seen anybody do knee lifts like this. And they always look like shit.
I think it comes from MMA originally, if I had to guess. I don't think they all look like shit. I think Omega's knees, there are a lot of them that I think look really good. And I think the difference is obviously the V trigger is one person, the BTE trigger is a group effort.
Well, sometimes they make contact and sometimes they don't, but you can't take a fucking bump. You're already on your knees in most cases, except when he runs and does the little skip and prance and Canterbury knee and whatever. Anyway, I said I wasn't going to be too critical of him here because it was at least for once a good match. But that's the thing. The finger pointing and the skipping and the prancing was minimized. And the awkward extra movement that he has and the gesticulating that comes from him being self-trained. And normally it looks like you've gotten either a gymnast or a ballet dancer and you're trying to get him to do wrestling moves. But this was all minimized here because of the way that they did it. And he's a good athlete, so he can do the moves and he can be led and he can be made better by a guy with Danielson's talent. It's just they haven't been doing it. They haven't had a guy with Danielson's talent. And this style match plays to Twinkle Toes' strengths because it's modern style with moves. He's rotten in a fight because he can't punch and kick and you don't believe he's mad. And he can't have a Walter and Elia style match because he can't really wrestle as a shoot. And you don't get the idea of a badass tough guy in any respect from him. But this kind of match where it's the more modern style match and they do the moves, but they don't really either actually get evil and fight with each other. This is believable with him. And, the crowd's going ape shit. They're hitting each other with everything. And he got him all the way through the match without doing anything really particularly stupid. And like I said, it was the best match I've ever seen Twinkle Toes in. Danielson's tremendous. The only problem I had here is the same problem that I have with the modern time limit draw. I don't know if they announced to the building that it was one fall 30-minute time limit match. JR did at the top of when the bell rang. He said it's one fall 30-minute time limit. Paul Turner, the referee, he didn't beat it to death, but he just put the specifics in. But then they were, like I said, they were hitting each other with everything. The crowd's going ape shit. The announcers suddenly say, well, there's 45 seconds left. I didn't hear a call in the arena.
I
Maybe
think there was. No,
was
you know what? I was hypersensitive to the audio because I was so in fear of the Good Brothers or someone coming down and ruining this because I was loving the match. And it was a few points towards the end where I heard something in the room. It wasn't clear at home, but I heard something, and I said, "Oh no, there it is." And then it went away, and I thought at first, "Oh, someone must have pressed the wrong thing and made a mistake." And I realized they must have been saying something in the room because the second time I caught it, I think it was Justin Roberts.
Okay, then that should have been piped through or called attention to in some more prominent fashion, because the point is, for the people in the building, they're trading kicks and chops and the bell rings and the fans start booing. Even if they're going to boo a draw anyway because they want to see more of the match, but it looked like it came out of nowhere. And I remember in 2009, I guess it was, when I first went back to Ring of Honor, and I'm watching one of their house shows, and boom, 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 and the people are into the match, can't even remember who it was, and suddenly the bell rang. And what happened? Oh, time limit draw. There were no time calls. Well, we don't do that. Why don't you do that? Well, if we did that, people would know it's a draw. What? Apparently, in all of wrestling, when I, was peaceably in Louisville and not paying attention to what the rest of the world was doing because I didn't care, they stopped. I know the WWE stopped even giving time limits in matches, but a lot of the other companies stopped doing time calls in the building. Every match, everywhere, house shows, TV, whatever, used to have a 5-minute call every 5 minutes. It's a 20-minute time limit, 5 minutes gone, 15 minutes remaining, 10 minutes gone, 10 minutes remaining. Everybody knew where the time was. That way, when you had a Broadway, a draw, time limit draw is called a Broadway. You go 3 minutes remaining, 2 minutes remaining, 1 minute, 30 seconds. It builds the tension. And then the time runs out and everybody's on the same page as, oh. But instead, they said, well, the fans are smart. So when we call 3 minutes left, 2 minutes left, they're going to know it's a draw. So we're just going to, out of nowhere, without calling any times, ring the bell at a good spot and expect the people not to be pissed off. So we put an end to that in Ring of Honor. And there were time calls and there were goddamn, basically if we did a time limit draw, everybody knew what was coming in terms of where they were in the time of the match, not the finish, because the whole object and the reason why that this was not changed for 100 years is because you educate your fans. You have as many matches go down to the 3-minute or 2-minute call and then end as you do have Broadways, and then they can't tell. So if they're going to do draws, which that was, by the way, the finish to do here, I thought maybe they'd have Danielson beat him in a non-title match, but that depends. If they did that, they'd have to come right back with a title match in the fairly near future, and I bet they're probably not going to do that. So this way, they gave him Olivier's greatest match. Danielson showed what he could do on national TV. They tore the house down in the big building and made the big crowd happy. And they left it open for the future. So the draw was fine. But if they're going to start doing time limit draws, they've got to fucking educate the people. And they need to start doing that by doing time calls in every match they have. And that way, you can never tell the difference. But anyway, overall, as I said, Danielson was great. Old Harpo hung with him. They eliminated all the stupid shit. They didn't overbook it. They didn't bury the referee. The match made sense. And everybody loved it. And then there had to be a little bit of an afterbirth, but even that was kept short because here comes the Hardy Boys and they tried to attack Danielson, but here comes Christian Cage and Jungle Boy and Dino Douche, and they have a bit of a sloppy fight and the heels leave. But it didn't harm what they had done, which usually anytime you see the Hardley Boys show up, there's going to be all kinds of shenanigans, but it was quick and it didn't hurt anything. So Danielson paid for himself in that one segment to me, because it not only gave their biggest crowd ever and their best TV show ever, the best 30 minutes of the show ever, but also it showed that, yeah, the other dipshit can do it if he's got somebody to do it with that can lead him and not let him engage in his worst instincts. So bravo, bravo. What'd I miss?
I don't know what you missed. I thought it was an excellent match. Started off a little slow. I thought too slow, but then by the end of it, I didn't care about that. The atmosphere was special. It was, Hogan Rock. It was that CM Punk debut.
Well, and wait a minute, then why maybe a little too slow? The people were cheering and chanting before they touched each other. Why should they have rushed that?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I'm talking about once the match got going.
Yeah.
But again, that's just me, and I could see it either way. But, it's one of those special nights with the crowd. I thought Omega was great. I know you're not going to give him credit for anything, no matter fucking...
I just did. I said it's the best match he ever had.
He can cure cancer, and you give credit to the patient. It's, but I think because you're giving Bryan Danielson all the credit, and I think
that's because he does. Why has Twinkle Toes never done this with anybody else?
He's had good matches, and you haven't either. There are matches you haven't watched, and there's matches you haven't watched fairly. At times, him and Pac was great. Him and Okada, those were excellent matches.
Okada didn't wrestle him on AEW television. I'm talking about this right here.
I thought the 30-minute Iron Man with Pac was great.
He's lucky that I will dignify his fucking wretched presence by watching him after he had a match in front of people with sex toys. So fuck him and feed him fish heads, but I gave him compliments. He's athletic. He can do as he's told. And if he'd have started out in a proper training program, by now he'd probably actually be a really good worker instead of a fucking prissy, prancing asshole.
And my biggest fear was this would degenerate into, like I said, the Good Brothers or something. And it didn't. And thank God it didn't. And, the booing for the 30-minute draw, that was going to happen no matter what. If we're going to do a draw, people are going to boo. But then they're going to get over it quickly because they're going to think about the next match. Will it be a 60-minute draw? What will be the next match? And the potential is there with these two guys to have a classic series of matches. AEW doesn't do a lot of immediate rematches. It'll be interesting to see what they do here. Adam Page still has to get figured back into this somehow.
Oh, that horse has left the barn, no pun intended. The best thing for Adam Page would be for him to come back and get involved in something with somebody that he can beat in the end and get over on. Because he ain't going to beat Harpo for the belt now, not with this fucking high-priced talent that's come in. That would be insane. The time for that, they dicked and diddled around until it passed.
So let me ask you this, all things being equal, it could be any two wrestlers in there. World champion versus high-profile challenger, 30-minute draw. What do you do coming out of this? What do you do next with these two guys?
I try to prolong as long as I can the rematch because Twinkle Toes shouldn't want it, and Danielson and the fans should be pressing on his behalf, and he should try to figure out every way he can to avoid that and put some stumbling blocks in Danielson's path so that they can, when they actually do put the title on the line, they do it on pay-per-view, and they'll get another big buy rate. But
now, can I ask you one more question? Not necessarily just about this match, but the first, 35 minutes of this show here. What do you think anyone in Connecticut is thinking watching this? In New York, a stadium they've never run, looks great, that crowd going crazy, and of course it's former Daniel Bryan on the show. What do you think they're thinking seeing that?
I think everybody else in the company has got to be thinking, good Lord, is there some way we can invoke the 25th Amendment on Vince? Because they have to at this point. Look, they got 20,000 people in New York. Even Crockett. When Crockett was neck and neck in the 80s with Vince everywhere, we couldn't get a fucking foothold in New York. Even WCW during the Attitude Era what did they do in New York or in the New York metropolitan area?
Nassau Coliseum. That was as close you can get to Manhattan, yeah.
And it don't hold 20,000 people. And so, and also, all they needed to do, anybody in the WWE office or anybody in that company, all they needed to do was watch the television show that they perpetrated on Tuesday night and then watch this one and go, holy fuck, we're in trouble. But I'm sure, Vince may be happy, but holy crap. Anyway, and I mean, that's 35 minutes in. Well, guess what happened next? Like Mussolini.
Oh, God.
And Arthur Ashe. Metallica. By the way, Punk had the great tweet this past week before that show. He said, I just got off the phone with Arthur Ashe. He can't wait to have us at the stadium. Hope I don't tear the muscles in my back slamming that 600-pound giant. Metallica.
Well, that's because someone called him out because I guess, and we'll probably talk about it on the drive-thru because we got a few emails. He called Hulk Hogan a piece of shit in an interview. So someone was like, how dare you, Hulk Hogan, this and that. And that's why Punk tweeted that out, which was great.
Like that Metallica. Anyway, here comes CM Punk. And there's signs, and there's energy, and there's chants. And this is a big-time wrestling show. And I talk about NXT. We've been watching SmackDown. We've seen clips from Raw. Both those shows look like a game show on Nickelodeon next to this, which I think is what they're trying for with NXT, with that off-putting color splotchiness everywhere. But again, he put on a promo class. He was happy. He's happy to be there. He puts the people over and how much he's liking being back. But then he directs it to the issue. People are saying, well, we want the pissed off CM Punk back. Well, what have I got to be pissed off about? Oh, yeah, these fucking guys. They try to put me through a table. The table didn't cooperate, but blah, blah, blah. Great babyface psychology to this. He's telling them, again, what they know to be true, and he's happy, and they're happy, and everybody's happy. But then he's pissed off about this, and he sells the match for Friday night, and he finished off fired up. And it's CM Punk in the ring in front of 20,000 people. 45 minutes into this program, it's still big time. What'd you think about this promo? Did you like the way that he addressed people saying, well, you're so happy, like nobody's allowed to be happy?
I mean, he's a great talker. It was a great promo. He's a smart talker, if that makes sense.
Yes.
He's always clever. Whenever you actually follow what he's saying, it's a very clever path to how he gets to where he's going, and I enjoy it. Good promo, and again, hot crowd, 45 minutes into the show. We've gotten a lot of wrestling, top flight wrestling, top flight serious promos. The commentators weren't a problem, hot crowd. This just felt so professional and so just on the ball.
And here's another thing. We talked about wrestling time and how much wrestling is in the show, and it's a great wrestling program. But when you have a guy at that level, main event stars, the live in-ring promo is better. It's bigger. It's more of an attraction sometimes than a match. So that's what, when you follow up a big main event match with, 13 people in the Hardy family office in a live interview, that's when, but when you can follow a main event match with a live CM Punk promo, you're farting through silk, and that's the thing is it's names, it's star power, it's people. If a guy can talk, he can carry a fucking 10-minute live interview segment. It's just when guys that can't talk are given scripted bullshit and sent out there and it goes forever because they've got to say everything they were told to say. That's when you go in the hole. But anyway, 45 minutes in, great match, great promo. And I'll tell you why CM Punk, honestly, Brian, has not been pissed off like his previous personas and has been happier. It's because he's taken, he's a big listener of the program.
CM Punk.
Yeah, he listens every week.
What?
And he's taken our advice, and he started having a good, tasty, and healthy breakfast every morning. That's why he's happy Punk now instead of pissed off Punk.
For the record, we have no idea what CM Punk eats for breakfast, so we should be very careful here. He could be doing all sorts of... He may not even eat breakfast.
He's got to be eating breakfast, because why else would you be that cheerful and that happy? Well, he's getting up every morning and he's eating a big bowl of Magic Spoon. And have you seen the conditioning that he's got? He hadn't been in the ring in 7 years and he looks great. He's got the cardio. That's because Magic Spoon is not junky, sugar-filled cereal, but Magic Spoon is healthy cereal that tastes great. They've somehow found the incredible secret to making great-tasting cereal with only 0 grams of sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, and only 4 net grams of carbs at each serving. They have somehow found a way to manufacture this stuff where there are only 140 calories per serving while being keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, and low-carb. And somehow they're allowing the fans and the customers out there to build their own boxes. They can pick their own custom bundle between cocoa and fruity and frosted and peanut butter and blueberry and cinnamon and cookies and cream and maple waffle. Because the cookies and cream and maple waffle, when they were brought out originally, were on a limited time only and sold out, boom, just like Jim Cornette action figures. So now cookies and cream and maple waffle are back permanently, and they're delicious. So I think that's what the thing is. CM Punk has decided he's going to get up every morning there in Chicago in his mansion. You know, he lives in the place that Al Capone used to live in.
You don't say.
He's going to get up at his mansion, and he's going to have his butler, Jeeves, go and get him a bowl of Magic Spoon, and he's going to eat that, and he's going to be happy because Magic Spoon has 100% happiness guarantee. If you don't like it for any reason, they will refund your money. Imagine if wrestling promotions had that these days. NXT would be bankrupt. Anyway, folks, right now, go to magicspoon.com/Jim, Jim, to grab a custom bundle of cereal and try it out, and use the promo code Jim at checkout. Save $5 off your order. magicspoon.com/Jim. Use the code Jim to save $5 off. Eat the breakfast of champions. Be just like CM Punk. Probably is, if we knew for sure. But yeah. I can say with reasonable certainty that he does everything I just said he did. So be like CM Punk. No,
take the word certainty out of that, and maybe even the word reasonable. Maybe take both those words, reasonable and certainty.
All right.
Together and independent. Take them out. I can
say with reasonable certainty, except not using either one of those words, that CM Punk eats Magic Spoon for breakfast every morning. But I won't use reasonable or certainty.
For the record, we have no idea what CM Punk eats for breakfast, and he is in no way connected at the present time with Magic Spoon. But check them out today.
Well, sooner or later, if he gets a little bit more popular, they'll go to him and open up a sponsorship deal going on there. But in the meantime, yes, eat the breakfast of champions such as, but probably not including CM Punk.
What other champions did we have on Dynamite this week, Jim?
Well, the next match I was waiting for also and was not disappointed. MJF with Wardlow in his corner took on Brian Pillman Jr. with Julia Hart. Wardlow was back in a suit, more befitting a man of MJF's finances and importance in the world. And I'm not sure that the cheerleader was necessary for a grudge match where the heel told the babyface that his mother should have swallowed him. But she's a nice, perky girl.
And to be honest, that's one of my big complaints. That's really my only complaint about this whole little program, I guess we'll say. It's been several weeks. I think MJF's been great. I think Pillman shows so much, but he doesn't do anger. He doesn't show at all. After all of these things, and if this doesn't get him angry, what's going to? He doesn't show anger. He just wants to celebrate with the fans, it seems like.
Well, and I mean, that's a thing that baby faces do early in their careers when they do a thing, like you'll see Rex Steiner do it. They'll do anything and they'll look at the people and fire up, because they just, they naturally want to get some reaction and they're trying to figure out what they're going to do next. With Brian, who's had some experience now, he's not doing it because of that. He's doing it because he's in a single program on his own, being featured against a top guy, and he's feeling more cheers. He's hearing more cheers. He's feeling more love coming at him. And maybe he feels like he has to acknowledge that. But in this instance, and with what's gone on from the time I know when he comes out on his entrance, he wants to be smiling, or when he foils the heel MJF and he does something to MJF, he wants to smile and show the people, hey, yeah, or if he outsmarts him, he wants to point at his head and smile. Don't smile. Don't be happy. You're still pissed. You're still mad. Show animosity. Show aggression. Don't crowd the heel when he's selling, but close in on him. Make it uncomfortable for him in a working way, but don't crowd him while he's selling, and don't rush, but at the same time, make the moves like you are trying to stay on top of him and be more aggressive. He started, obviously MJF was calling this again, but it was a wrestling match. Early in the match, Pillman, 2 arm drags, a hip toss, and a backdrop. Goddamn, I thought I was watching wrestling again. It's been so long. Bryan also needs to hit the ropes harder. When they're going into a spot, he needs to dig in and he needs to run and hit the ropes with, that's the one thing. When Shawn Michaels would be in the ring coaching guys or, just doing a workout session or whatever, he had a thing, attack the mat, attack the bumps, attack the ropes. If you watch Michaels, even though he was so thin and didn't have a lot of body weight, every time he hit the mat, it made noise. Every time he hit those ropes, they bowed out and he sprung off of them because he was going into those things with such velocity. He's controlling himself. He's not out of control. He's not reckless, but he's fucking going full steam ahead. And Bryan was, when they're hitting the ropes, doing a running spot, he needs to dig in. Dig in the balls of the toes, kid, when you're running across the ring. They came back from the break, and MJF had the heat on Bryan going. He was working on his arm. Bryan does sell well. See, some green guys, and I still say he's green even though he's had this much experience, but younger guys, but some green guys like Steiner, it's not natural for them to sell. It's natural for them to be on offense because he's been a pro football player and a competitive athlete or whatever. With Bryan having a little bit more experience now in terms of the wrestling business and probably having a little bit more grip on it mentally, he sells really well. Sometimes it's his offense where he's not necessarily as confident. So it's just differences in guys. But he made a big comeback, Bryan did. And then MJF slides out and he hides behind Julia Hart to avoid the dive, which that was fine. That's always hide behind a woman if you're a heel. And then as MJF is menacing her, I guess they allowed him to snatch her fucking wrist or whatever. I mean, let's face it. If we were still in the wrestling business, she got up in his face. He would have taken his fucking left hand and snatched her by the back of the hair and bent her back where she could make the face, and he could fucking see, everybody in the building could see that he's telling her, I'm going to knock you out, you fucking skank, and draw back, and then eat the fucking missile drop kick through the ropes. That's what it should have been, but instead, because we're where we are today and everybody gets offended, he grabbed her wrist and talked to her in a rude manner until he ate the missile drop kick. But that was the distraction once that Bryan's make sure she's okay, which is obviously the way they gave him an out in the finish, but that's also the reason why you shouldn't bring a girl to a grudge match. Once she's okay, he gets back up on the apron and he's going to do the springboard, but MJF has had time to recover. And as Bryan does the springboard going for the fucking air Pillman, MJF catches him in the Fujiwara armbar, the salt of the earth, takes him down, and he's got a tap out. That was a nice quick finish where MJF was a prick and, took advantage of a situation where Bryan was trying to help his girl second. So that was a nice finish. Again, this is for MJF to get heat And so I didn't mind the babyface tapping out, because just the fact that Bryan is now in singles matches and against main event guys instead of the dregs of the preliminary guys, he's being elevated and he's being focused on, and the story's not over yet. And will Bryan get, the comeuppance that he deserves on MJF? We'll have to wait and find out. That's the whole idea. So this was a good piece of business too. Bryan's coming along. MJF did a good job. People were into it. Again, nothing silly, nothing phony, no obvious cooperation, no ridiculous gymnastics, and they didn't bury the referee. It's like it's a real wrestling show, Pinocchio. What'd you think?
I thought it was really good. It's really enjoyable to watch MJF just work a room. Is that how you would say it? That's like you say it if it was Frank or something. If it was Frank or Liza or Julio, you would say it like that.
Or Jackie Mason.
Watching MJF work a room is great. I saw something. Did you see this? Someone said it to me. I guess his parents wrote a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
They wrote like signs like, I hate MJF and we're embarrassed by MJF. And I saw an interview with his mom who called him a fucking idiot.
They had a sign. That said, we're MJF's parents and we hate him too.
Oh, good shit. But really enjoyable. And I just want to say, despite what I said earlier, I'm not down on Pillman Jr. I think he's got a lot of potential and he's got so much likability.
Yeah.
I don't know what happens when you put Griff Garrison back next to him, but time will tell. But that's my only thing. This should have been his big showcase to show that he could do this. I'm pissed off and I'm going to get you and I'm going to kick your ass thing. And he can't do it. Or at least he hasn't done it. Like, this was the thing, to go out there and just want to kill this guy. And it was just another match, it seemed like, for him. And that's not to take away from the match itself or the work of MJF. And I'm very happy to see Wardlow back in a blazer or a jacket, whatever he had on there. But this was good. But it would have been better. It would have been better if he had been fired up.
I think he can do it. I don't know whether anybody set him down and said, do you realize you're not doing this? I think he thinks with the fired up at the crowd sometimes that's showing aggression and animosity, but it's not. It's showing energy. But you got to look at a motherfucker like you want to rip him apart with your teeth. And it'll come, hopefully.
The Julia Hart spot surprised me just because for TNT, I thought that was a bit risky.
A bit risky. I've seen rougher interplay on the playground between a guy and a girl than...
What? What playground are you on with men and women fighting, Jim?
He grabbed her wrist. That's all he did.
Even that, you don't see that anywhere anymore in wrestling.
When I was a kid, family moved in next door to us here at the castle, and they had a daughter, so we used to play every once in a while. But she was 3 years older than me, right? So she was bigger than me. God damn it, one time she pissed me off, said something or did something or whatever, and I was barefoot, and I kicked her in the mouth. And
oh, man.
Fucking gashed my goddamn toe wide open on her braces.
Oh, man.
Almost killed myself. Didn't hurt her a bit. But I was bleeding like a stuck hog. I said, well, shit, I guess I shouldn't fight any more of these women.
How old were you?
I was like 8. She was like 11.
How did she react to getting kicked in the face?
She didn't really sell it. Well, I was barefoot. But anyway, fucking gigged myself bad. Almost bled to death. Anyway, so... next up was Officer Bar Brady with Jericho and Jake Hager. All right now. Remember I said everything was still professional. Explain to me why after 2 years. I mean, I couldn't understand it the first week because anybody you could find working at the local Exxon station would be a better television personality than Alex Marvez. And he's a nice guy. And he's friends with everybody and they like him, but it's been 2 years and nothing has changed. Every move, every word that he utters, every expression is completely without realism or emotion. He's reciting something that a pitch or a question or an intro to the talent that has been scripted for him and he has memorized. to the point where he's talking to them, but looking at the camera because his deer in the headlights stare will not let him actually look at the people that he is speaking to. And they have umpteen interviewers and announcers now. I can't imagine why he hasn't said to someone, Tony, anybody, okay, I recognize that I'm rotten. Everybody sees it. As soon as they look at one of these promos, it's embarrassing. I'm embarrassing myself. I appreciate y'all's friendship. I don't want to do this anymore. You have people now that are qualified. In much the same way as I fault Excalibur, not for his work that he's doing, but for the fact that he is so egotistical that he has kept that mask on to the detriment of the show and the promotion and everybody he comes in contact with, just because he is such a mark for himself. He wants people to know that 15 years ago he used to wrestle on outlaw shows in a barn. I fault Marvez not for being rotten, but for doing this knowing that he's rotten. It's not right for the company or the talent or the program. Either for the idiot announcer to be wearing a mask when nobody has ever heard of him before, or for the interviewer to be this bad. Yes, everybody could have friends. But if you're a heart surgeon and you've got a friend that works at the goddamn H&R Block, you don't bring him in to do the heart surgery. So it was a decent promo with Jericho and Hager about Dan Lambert and America's Top Team. But again, if they're going to do a real professional show and they're still in the middle of one and it ain't got bad yet, don't have the fucking amateurs anymore when you've got alternatives now. Can you think of one reason why we should ever see Alex Marvez on TV again now that they have multiple announcers and backstage interviewers?
No, there's no reason we shouldn't, and especially when you have Dasha there. Dasha should replace him for every interview, and Dasha should replace Justin Roberts as ring announcer because she's really good at it, but
she wasn't on the show.
But you have to remember something. There are friends, and then there are Tony's friends, and Marvez is a Tony friend. So I think Marvez is safe. He can go out there and take a shit on camera.
We're trying to be real television now, so your friends anyway.
He is awful. He is definitely the most wooden, awful. Like, he can't even recite the lines they give him. The WWE people could at least do that.
Yeah, it's like that he's never used these words before and he's feeling the taste of them on his tongue for the very first time. Anyway, the next match was another long... The hits just keep on coming. These are all main events. This is a super card here. Malachi Black against Cody Rhodes. And Brian, you called it. I scoffed and I laughed when you said it because I thought that would just be ridiculous and completely see-through and egregious and everything else. And you called it and I scoffed. And Cody's coming down the ramp and calls out Brandy to come with him.
I had no doubt.
We just talked about there's no reason for a person to be on a television program. Can somebody explain to me the reason, working reason? I know the shoot reason. The shoot reason is what you said. There's 20,000 people there and it's a big TV program and she's going to be on it regardless, no matter what, whether it makes any sense or not, because for the same reason that before she at least, had mercy on the wrestling fans at large and got pregnant and stayed off television, her face was in everything. Her name was in everything. She perked her nose into everything. Remember, to the point where the fans started doing the cartoons with AEW Dynamite with Brandy. She's peeking in a window. She's everywhere. She's involved in everything. And now, this guy, this new fearsome heel, he's hurt Arn Anderson. He's hurt Dustin Rhodes. He's hurt old Shoddy Lee Johnson. He's hurt Cody himself. Only the badass Rosario Dawson can hang with Malachi Black, and Cody brings his recently pregnant wife to ringside in anywhere near this monster.
In her bathing suit, apparently.
In her bathing suit. And when Malachi Black bumps Cody Rhodes out of the ring and sits down in his cross-legged deal, Brandy rolls in, sits cross-legged in front of him, and gives him the finger. What the No wonder the crowd was booing every breath that Cody Rhodes took. This was it. This was the one they couldn't mute the sound. They couldn't talk their way out of it. Everything that Malachi Black did, the people came unglued. Everything that Cody Rhodes did, it was like 20,000 people at the same time had seen some stranger break into their house and sodomize the family Dalmatian. They hated it. The only thing they wanted to see Cody do was get the shit kicked out of him. And I don't even think they wanted to see Brandy get the shit kicked out of her. I just think they didn't want to fucking see Brandy at all. So with this situation, as they say, Malachi Black was a raving babyface and Cody was the hottest heel on the show. And they go through the break, they come back. Did Malachi Black at one point hit that kick out of nowhere, and it was either stiff or perfect, but there wasn't any daylight in it, and it got a big pop, and Cody just falls to the floor out cold, and then Malachi's trying to get the dead body in. This match was serious. They were serious about it. This match made sense, except for Brandy being there at all. The only drawback to this match was that the fans were cheering every single move that the heel made and roasting the babyface. And everything that Malachi Black did got more over as time went on. And when Cody hit Cody Cutter out of nowhere and hit the crossroads and Malachi Black kicked out at the count of 2, it was like in the old days when a fucking babyface would kick out in the nick of time. Got a huge pop. And then we've said before that every time Malachi Black has had every match he's had, it's been good. And then something happens in the finish, whether it's the mind games that he tries to play because he's spooky, or something happens in the finish where we lose him, falls apart, whatever. And I hate that in this time, it had to be Arn Anderson. But what they were going for was for when Malachi Black got kicked out of that Cody Cutter and the crossroads, the big pop, Arn would get up on the apron and complain to the referee that the count was slow, which would enable Cody and Malachi to get to their feet, and Malachi was going to reverse some kind of deal and shoot Cody off into Arn. Boom. So then Arn would go down, and then apparently what was going to happen was Cody would still nail Malachi Black, but go to check on Arn. And during that period of time, Malachi Black would recover somehow, and they'd go in the corner and they'd do their finish. The point is, the whole goddamn thing fell apart. Arn got up on the apron, but it wasn't apparently the right apron for them to do the reversal that they needed to do, and Cody collide with Arn, and then Malachi Black get dumped over onto the entrance ramp. So instead of just going with what they had, if you go back and watch the DVR, you see the referee going in between Arn and Cody and back, and the conversation from, I can't tell what they said, but from being in these instances, the referee saying get down to Arn, but then Cody saying other side, and then Arn tries to go around the ring post without getting off the apron and go to the other side of the apron. And Arn's gained weight, and his arms aren't as long as they used to be. And as he's going around the post and trying to hold on, he fell off the apron. Just like poor old Dr. Luther did. Remember that they tried to have him have a match a while back, and he fell off the apron. Arn fell off the apron, and the place popped. Because even though if Arn Anderson had gone out and they'd have done a segment to honor Arn Anderson in his career, the place would have gave him a standing ovation. Because they love the Horsemen in New York, and they respect the legends. But because Arn is in Cody's corner, and now Arn has fallen off the apron of the ring, obviously not on purpose, the fucking place died laughing. Because he's in Cody's corner, and Cody can do no right in this building. Then he has to get up, and you know he had to be fucking miserable inside, and he has to get up on the proper apron, and by then Malachi Black and Cody have had to get in the right spot, and then he shoots Cody off, and Cody goes into Arn, and Arn takes another bump back to the floor, and then Cody knocks Malachi Black off onto the ramp so that he can go underneath the ring and get his mist. Because they don't know how to do the mist, apparently, a mist handoff that doesn't involve the guy that's doing the mist putting his whole head and upper body under the ring to get the mist. He wouldn't have to gone anywhere if they'd asked me. I'm not going to reveal it now. Maybe somebody will ask me later on, but you wouldn't need to gone anywhere if you'd have done this right. But anyway, so Cody tosses Malachi Black in and puts him back in the corner and starts beating on him as the crowd boos relentlessly. Then Cody, instead of drawing back to punch fucking Malachi Black and accidentally catching the referee, Cody just back elbows the referee into the fucking second row on purpose and turns around, and Malachi Black spits the mist into Cody's face and small packages him 1, 2, 3 to a huge pop, huge babyface pop. And then you see the shot of Cody laying there, and Malachi Black's the mist, that's hard to say, the mist missed Cody's eyes. He misted Cody's mouth, neck, and chest. And Cody sold it like he was blind, but when they show, you can clearly see there's no fucking mist in his eyes.
And boy, will that make Brandy mad.
And boy, will that make Brandy mad. So the point is, they started, the match was fine, except that the reactions were reversed from the people. But then it was so overbooked at the finish that it fell apart, and it was what it was. But the people were incredibly happy to see Malachi Black beat the guy who, when the company started, was pretty much the top single babyface in the company.
And now there are real stars.
And I'll tell you what, well, let me ask you this. Danielson versus give me the greatest 3 matches in AEW history that you remember so far that we've seen.
The greatest in terms of matches I've enjoyed?
The best 3 matches in AEW history, in your opinion.
Jeez, well, Omega Danielson may be on the list, believe it or not. FTR Young Bucks was good. Young Bucks, Omega, and Page may have been the best Young Bucks match because they gave them more than they gave fucking FTR. I'm not sure what Dustin Cody would be a pick for a lot of people. I don't know if I would put it on there, but that would be a pick for a lot of people. I'm not sure what the third one will be.
Okay, I'm going to say Dustin and Cody is still my favorite because that most closely resembled a professional wrestling match with the heat and the juice and the story and the selling and the whole 9 yards.
You know what, though? In a way, that best exemplified Cody Rhodes' booking. When you really think about it, until that match, there was no Dustin Cody feud. They created it with some online videos. Cody was acting like a real prick in those videos. They have the match. Cody immediately starts crying and saying, "I want my brother back." They went from 0 to 100 in like a week.
I'm not arguing with you. I'm just saying in the ring as a match, I think Cody and Dustin, as to the best of my memory, is still the best because it was a great pro wrestling match and not this modern bullshit. I have to say, I think that Danielson and Olivier may be number 2 or number 3. I'm trying to remember another really great one. I know somebody will say, oh, but Cornette, you said a year ago that such and such was the best match you well, then
yeah, we are
remind
forgetting,
me of it.
We have to be forgetting something. I just don't know what.
But it's insane that to this fan base, Harpo's been involved in some of this ridiculous shit, and they loved him to death until somebody comes along like Danielson that's better. Cody started out the company having the best matches, and they hate the shit out of him now. It's because he has booked himself to be such a pompous, not only a pompous ass with a glory hound wife, but trying to be a star on the game shows and all this other stuff over and above being a wrestler. And also, as you said, starting these things that now it's pattern. Somebody comes in and kicks the shit out of him easily. He's gone for a month or 6 weeks. They get some heat on some peripheral characters, and he comes back in and beats them. At least this time, he didn't come back and beat the fucking guy, which I think is what everybody in this building was scared was going to happen.
Yeah, but he came out in a cape.
Well, at least he's not like Nia Jax and he put a cape on a refrigerator.
I think this is no surprise to me. I knew this was how people were going to react to Cody because there's no reason to cheer for him.
You've been calling it for months when the people got back in the building, and the bigger the crowd, the more they're going to boo him, and they have.
Because Cody's presented like a baby face that fans would cheer for if you paid the fans to be there and cheer, like it's Universal Studios or something back in the old days, or Paul Alperstein's AWF. Cody doesn't actually perform the way anyone else on that show who's popular with fans does. Either in the ring, although his matches may be the thing that helps him the most, but the promos and these weird angles and feuds, whether it's QT or Jade or Team Taz, I forgot about that one with Hook. We talked about that the other day. And then there's fucking Bonnie, who has to come out with him everywhere he fucking goes.
Ms. Steamboat to you.
Exactly. And here's where I'm going to put my money down. I've been right about everything with Cody so far. I think that Cody's smart enough to recognize that he can't be a babyface right now because he's so fucking unlikable, and that show hasn't even fucking started yet. Once that show starts, it's going to be even more ridiculous.
Oh shit! You know what? We have to watch that too, just to see what the fuck, right? But yeah, that could make him.
Yeah,
that could make him the hottest heel they've ever had, because it'll be a ton of Brandy, and Brandy brings heat on anybody in her periphery.
Oh, you should talk to people in the back. But what I was going to say is, I think Cody is smart enough to know that he has to be a heel. There's no choice. And I think Cody's going to fuck it up somehow. Like, there'll be moments like, yeah. And then like, whoa, what is he doing now? Why is this happening? Why is Brandy there? See, that's the other problem. Cody goes heel. Who is going to enjoy that more than Brandy? Oh my God, I get to take out all my Halloween costumes. I get to go on TV and act evil. It's everything worked on in acting class.
Don't tell her to go out and act anyway. Just tell her to go out and be herself, and you'll have so much heat you won't know what to do. There'll be snipers in the building.
Cody's in the weirdest position of anyone there, and quite frankly, a heel turn, if he did it right, would be fantastic.
And see, here's the thing. He's almost the opposite of his father, because his father was a genius booker that could make himself the beloved underdog babyface no matter what. But his in-ring work, Dusty's, especially as he aged, wasn't to the level of a lot of the other guys in the territory, but because he was so over and he was able to talk and book, he stayed over all the baby faces. Cody has been the exact opposite. He can go in the ring. Cody's matches, you said he doesn't wrestle like all the other people that those fans like. No, he's actually good. He can work. He was the first one in the company and the only one in the company that was having wrestling matches that made sense, that weren't funny, didn't have obvious cooperation, didn't fucking involve all the children and etc.
It was nonstop ringside shit with Brandy or Arn.
Hold on. So his matches, his working style, I said the exact opposite of Dusty, but his booking and overbooking and weird booking. He was the best fucking babyface in the ring that they had when they started, and by the time he's finished booking himself, the people hate him, which was the exact opposite of his father, who couldn't really, especially in the latter days of his career, hang with the other baby faces on the card athletically, but made up for it with his promos, his charisma, and the way he booked himself. This has been exactly the opposite. And I think a lot of the heat comes from everybody can see that Brandy is just being pushed, shoehorned into the picture wherever because she has to be on television. Whether there's any applicable reason for her to be there or not, and she's not a good wrestler. The only good promo she ever gave in her life was against fucking Jane Cargill when she bowed up that one time and became Butch Reed. And people can tell she's there because she's his wife. For a heel, it would work. But for a babyface, it hasn't. Anyway.
And how's that going to be if he goes heel and you have that fucking show airing trying to present them as sympathetic figures because they're balancing all these hard things like parenthood and work and, the things that all of us balance in our daily lives every single fucking day.
I don't balance anything with my work.
Well, you don't.
All righty then. The next match on the program, again, this was a clinic, and I especially want any aspiring wrestlers and especially any aspiring tag teams, go back and watch this match, and you will see the value of tremendous heels. FTR against Sting and Darby Allin. And apparently, they just decided, well, Darby, he got over because he had the match with CM Punk, so we're just going to get Sting over in this one. Because it's been 20 years since Sting's had a good match. And they did it. Sting looked better here than he looked in 1996. He's 62 years old. He's older than me, and I ain't going to be going out doing any of that shit. But if you, and I'm not knocking Sting, and I'm not insulting him. I just said it was a great match. It was all Sting. It was the best he's looked in 20-something years. But at the same time, we're still living in the real world. He's 62 years old. It was as a result of FTR being the best in the world at what they do. And Sting being in good shape for his age. FTR's intensity always brings it up. But in this case, from the start, they bumped like super balls for Sting. They even slammed themselves off of him. And again, I said aspiring wrestlers and aspiring tag teams. If you've got this match on the DVR, go back and watch it. The early spot where FTR is feeding Sting. And he's standing in the middle of the ring, punch, backhand, punch, elbow. What he's standing in the middle, they're bouncing off of him. Then they feed for the slams. Dashes was perfect. Cashes, which I forget which dates they switched to. Cashes was perfect. Dax's would have been, but Dax was first as he's running to Sting. When Sting went to take him up, Sting put his arm over Dax's left shoulder instead of under Dax's chin and around his right shoulder. And so therefore, that fucked up Dax's post. He couldn't go up and post good like he wanted to, but at least Sting got him turned. And then Sting had apparently realized what he'd done because that's when Cash fed in, boom, he goes up and Cash took a slam like Harley Race. He was looking perfect facial, perfect back arch, perfect double-handed post on the stomach. They were slamming themselves off this fucking guy. All he had to do was stand there. And as I've mentioned, aspiring wrestlers, if you want to see the perfect body slam, the perfect way a guy goes up, the perfect way he posts, the perfect way his expression, everything, and the perfect landing, watch Sting body slamming Cash. That was it. It's simple shit, I know. But nobody knows this shit anymore. And when you watch FTR setting themselves up in the right place, bumping and rolling and feeding themselves up to the ropes where they need to be before you ever know they even need to be there, lining shit up to where the babyface can make his comeback and they can feed for him, or the heat spots or whatever, nobody's this good anymore. They just get it. And they're always in the right place. Anyway, they got a little bit of heat on Sting. And then they did the double knockout with him and Dax, and he fell in Dax's balls, and Sting crawled over and just cold tagged Darby. But Sting probably needed to breathe at that point. So I'll excuse that. Darby made a comeback, bing, 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 did all of his shit. FTR's out on the floor. You think it's going to be the coffin drop, but guess what? They caught him. And not catching him like all the other yahoos do when they're standing there waiting for a guy to dive on him. They caught him and fucking threw him into the goddamn apron of the ring and started the heat on Darby. And that was the break spot. Two grown men should be able to catch a 150-pound guy coming off the top rope. It ought to happen more often. Anyway. They come back from the break. Second half of the match, they're perfect. The timing, they're always in the right place. And finally, they set up a hot tag for Darby to Sting, and they finally got one. The babyfaces in this wretched little company that's rapidly kicking the shit out of Vince McMahon. For the first time I can remember, a real hot tag. The heels set it up. They closed in on him. He fucking scrambled out away from them. They tried to block him off, but he flipped again. Boom, boom, boom. Got past both of them and tagged Sting, and here he came again. That was a hot tag. And Sting made a big comeback, and FTR was in the perfect places for it. And finally, they go for a spike pile driver, but Sting comes back and pushes fucking Cash off the top. And then Dax has Darby Allin where he was trying to pick him up for the pile driver, and he did not see because he was struggling. He didn't see Cash get pushed off the top. As he looks up, there's Sting coming off with a crossbody. Boom, 2 count. Holy shit. That's when I wrote they're making Sting look better than he did in 96. And he ran wild, and he ran Dax into Tully's chair that they had set up in the corner. They foiled that move and ran Dax into the chair, and then he nailed Tully, and he Scorpion Death dropped Dax. And as he gets the Scorpion Deathlock on Dax, Cash is trying to reach in and pull him out, and Darby does the coffin drop on Cash on the apron. And I know he doesn't weigh that much, but I'll be goddamned if I'd let that little fucking prick just land on me 150 pounds or no off the top rope on the apron with no give whatsoever. But Cash was very charitable there and allowed him to do that. And Dax taps out. So, from a professional standpoint, this match was fucking incredible. I have not seen a performance by a heel tag team that good in so long that they could make a 62-year-old man that's had 3 matches in the last fucking 15 years look better than he has in ages. But by the same token, the fans watching this saw FTR, the best tag team in the world, get beat pretty much single-handedly by a 62-year-old man. So how about a segment now where FTR have matches with senior citizens, paraplegics, people in body casts, contest winners, and make them look like the best wrestlers in the world too? Is this what their new job is? How long have they been there? They signed a little over a year ago. Was it a year? Maybe a year and a half by now? Was it that long? Or just
yeah.
Did they sign for 3 years? Can they find enough wrestlers to let FTR put over to keep them busy for the next year and a half? Since apparently they were an acquisition for the Young Bucks' tag team division, so that they could be beaten by the Hardley Boys, hidden from sight, and now brought back intermittently to put over everybody.
Well, if there was anyone there that they wouldn't have a problem putting over, it's Sting. And if there's one good thing I could say about Sting, I don't know if I could really say it's the face paint. It certainly ain't the hair. But I think people can lose themselves a little bit and not think of him as 62. I actually don't until you say he's 62. I mean, 50s, sure. But you don't really think about it until it's put right there. He's still a big guy. He still has some size to him.
Yes.
Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler will have great careers one day as agents because they know how to put together a match better than anyone else there.
But you know what? Here's the thing. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't teach him how to drop kick. I don't care how many times that either one of those guys would sit down and instruct any other wrestlers in how to have a match, how to put a match together, an exact match here, do this. Nobody's going to perform it like they do.
I agree. And no one's going to do a promo or anything like you do. But I think those are the talented people like you and them that we need in this business to help repair things.
Well, but the thing is, I got the chance to do my shit before I started turning around and talking to everybody else and telling them how to do it. It would be nice if FTR got a chance to do their shit. We're talking about currently, right now, the best heel tag team in the world, and we're sitting here talking about, well, one of these days, they're going to have great careers as agents. How about they have great careers as fucking wrestlers?
Well, look, the good thing is they've been used on TV.
Because two fucking prick brothers from California got their panties that they do wear, obviously, in a fucking bunch because these guys were better than they are, and the fans were saying it. They get to get their billionaire boyfriend to bring them in and pay them a ridiculous amount of money so that they can beat them and bury them and move on. There's not special talent like FTR hiding under every rock, and they have been minimized and made fools of and embarrassed and hidden to the point where now does it make any difference if they started using them every week? The people have basically been told that they are no match for two grade school kids. They're no match for a senior citizen. The only match they won was when Cash got fucking injured and was out of the ring bleeding to death, and Dax beat Santana and Ortiz by himself because that was the finish apparently originally, was that they were going to go over in that one. And then they come back and have the rematch, and Santana and Ortiz beat both of them when they're both fucking fine and dandy.
And since that time, they got the win over Seidel and Dante Martin, which set up this match. And again,
my God,
they lost the Sting, but they've been on TV now for a few weeks in a row. And you know, the one thing I've noticed,
in the pecking order of things, either one of those guys ought to be able to beat Matt Seidel and fucking.
They're getting TV time. It starts with something. It has to start with something. They're getting some TV time, and each time, more and more, even from people that traditionally are young Bucks people, you're seeing people recognize, wow, these guys are good.
Yeah.
More and more.
Yes.
And you know what? I don't think anyone that good in AEW gets to the point where you can't do something to get the fans to care or to turn things around. I think if it's done right, the issue is they're not booking themselves, and I don't even think they'd want to book themselves. Who's looking after them and who's looking after that tag team division?
And
the problem is we don't have a tag team. We don't have a CM Punk in the tag team division. We don't have a Bryan Danielson in the tag team division. We don't have some other big tag team that's going to come in and say, you know what, I want to work with FTR. So right now we just got to hope we're going to get good FTR matches on TV, and maybe Tony realizes, hey, people are buzzing about them. They are really good. I do want to do something with them, whether Nick and Matt like it or not.
Wasted a year and a half. And once again, the AEW backwards booking. Bring guys in, put them in main events first, beat them, then put them against underneath guys and let them get wins a year later. Anyway, but this show, this particular television program, was fucking fabulous and still good. And we are all the way down to the main event of this 2-hour program besides, Alex Marvez's presence and basically that.
No Dark Order, no Marco Stunt.
No Dark Order, no Marco Stunt, no Hardy Family Office, no Private Party, no Jack Evans, no
Butcher and the Blade.
Falderall, Butcher and the Blade and the Baker and the Bunny and the Candlestick Maker.
QT, all that crap. This was a main event show. They did it right.
And the main event was still to come, which was the women's championship match, Ruby Soho and Dr. Britt Baker. And obviously this was not as good as Danielson and
Omega.
Harpo, and it wasn't as good as the Punk interview, and it wasn't as good a match as FTR and Sting as an icon or whatever. It was a tough spot to put them in to follow the rest of this show. And, but it was a good girls match. It wasn't as good as the other stuff that, because it's not going to be, but not only compared to the girls matches that they were having on AEW for a long time when they started, but for most of the girls matches that we've seen in the WWE, this was a higher level girls match than we've been looking at lately. And Britt Baker she's over as a heel, but they don't really boo her, but they like her. But now with Ruby Soho, it's kind of like a Twinkle Toes and Danielson thing. They like Ruby Soho so much because she's recently been escaped from Alcatraz, and they're behind her that they're willing to make Britt the heel, technically. They worked their asses off. It wasn't silly or phony. I can't penalize them for having to follow Bryan Danielson, CM Punk, and MJF, and Sting, and FTR. But it was a good match. Nothing outstanding. I don't know that Mildred Burke is rolling over in her grave, but the only thing that looked, Britt Baker, they did the deal where they both get up on the top rope and jockey for position, and it's just as unbelievable when the girls do it as when the guys do it. But Britt Baker gave her Rico's old finish, Rico Constantino's old thing. And then Nova used to use it. But the hook the head over the shoulder and boom, but off the top rope, and it looked like it almost killed poor Ruby because she came down on her shoulder. And that got a 2 count. And then a curb stomp and a 2 count. And then what's the new girl's name in Britt's corner? Jamie Hayter. She interfered, and then Britt got the lockjaw, and Ruby Soho tapped out. I wouldn't like the tap from a babyface in that position, except that the heel manager interfered, so there's your out, so that's good too. And there was no afterbirth. Again, most of these matches had a finish and get out of it, so I'm not saying every match should just be, okay, it's over and we'll all shake hands and go off. But for the same reason that a lot of these matches now with the new talent are getting over and actually good, the same reason that they shouldn't have it, that you only have an afterbirth when it means something, because when every match has an angle, there are no angles. Nothing registers. It's like now, what if we said we've liked all of this stuff over the last couple of weeks with the new talent, because the new talent is coming in saying, no, we're not going to fucking run off and leave people. We're not going to do all this ridiculous bullshit with 18 people running in or whatever. We're going to do our business, get our match over, and get the finish over. That's the way it's supposed to be normally. And the reason why an angle is because then when there's an afterbirth or there's people running in or whatever, it's unusual. It doesn't happen in every match. It stands out. It registers. It makes a point, and it leads to something. So AEW, much like they do everything else, they started backwards. They started with shows where every match jump starts. Every match is an afterbirth. Every match buries the referee. Every match is an angle. Every match has a run-in. Even interviews in the back have run-ins and angles. And it all became the same. And you couldn't tell one week from another. And I know these, the fucking, the real diehard AEW fans obviously take notes. Either that or they're on some type of spectrum and they can remember all these minute details. But for most people, including the audience that they're still trying to grab, can't register all that shit. It means nothing. It's just scenery going by at 60 miles an hour. But what's registering now? I'll tell you what's registering now is CM Punk doing an interview where he doesn't get beat up afterwards. What's registering is Bryan Danielson and Twinkle Toes having a 30-minute match where they just tear the house down with wrestling and nobody interferes. It's the matches that are getting people over with a finish and a winner that fucking makes sense. That's what's now, 2 years into this thing, that's what's getting over, because the actual wrestling matches are different now. They've gone completely backwards. Now a plain match with a winner and no afterbirth is shocking like an angle used to be. And you can remember it. And it registers. So this match, or this show, was the best TV show they've ever done, top to bottom, with one of the best matches they've ever had, and a variety of other great performances from the usual suspects that we knew were going to be great when given the chance. So it's not like that this is a shock or a surprise to anybody. And they're doing the things that we said they were probably going to do, and that's making it better. And I'm oblivious as to how that it took 2 years to figure this out, and why they couldn't have started out telling their story without hitting us with a car in seg 1 of the very first show, so that you would have got to this point a lot quicker. I know they didn't have Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson and CM Punk, but they have wasted workers they had, and they have beaten us over the head with gimmicks that are embarrassing for anybody to watch. Pockets. We couldn't get rid of fucking Pockets. For a year and a half, he was on every fucking segment on every fucking show, and the ratings stayed the same. But imagine this, you get names that people are interested in and have them interacting with other people that are on top that people are interested in. And all of us, well, the Dynamite has told it, Dynamite, when they know they're going to see a name, Punk, they did 1.3 million people. When they started giving them the Hardy Family Office for 45 minutes, they got back down to 600,000. Dynamite on Wednesdays is still over 1 million because they got 2 hours and people know they're going to see some of these people. And this thing was advertised out the yin-yang and did what? Was it the 3rd or 4th highest rated show they've ever done? I thought it might even be better than that. But those people are not going to stick around and watch the best friends hug each other's fucking knobs and fucking get driven off by one of their goddamn mothers in a minivan. There's not that many childish virgins in America. They want to see stars and they want to see a fight. And so now they're giving it to them and they're getting numbers. But it wasn't like that this is a revelation. That's all I'm going to say. It wasn't like this is a revelation. Don't show people stupid bullshit. Show them people being serious and trying to get over, and they'll watch it and they'll pay attention. Or you can show silliness with a bunch of fucking jack-offs that like to play slap and tickle with each other on their little fucking comedy YouTube program, and they try to do the same thing on television, and you end up with the same 6, 7, 800,000 people that will apparently watch chickens fuck all day long because they have no other entertainment.
I don't think they have that on TBS anymore since Ted Turner left the network.
Well, you know, there's always a chance that they get a chicken hot as a baby face and another big-ass chicken comes in that's way bigger than he is, maybe with an interesting feather cut. You could draw some money with that.
It seems like you're doing your final thoughts on the show. We went past
I am.
Ruby Soho. Just a couple of quick things from me. One, Ruby's gotten good pops. The people like her. She's been good. The one I really want to see in there more than anything with Britt Baker is Thunder Rosa. And Thunder Rosa's the one that, from my perspective, and I'm not attending these shows, Whenever she comes out, she gets a pop. She's over. She works hard. Her promos are fired up. I think her and Britt Baker would be perfect because Britt's promos are good. Britt gets a big pop.
Yeah.
I'd like to see something there. But in terms of the show...
let me just jump in and say I agree with you, and it would be a better match, but I think Ruby Soho is going to be more over than Thunder Rosa because besides the fact she has... all of the guys in the AEW audience wish that they had a girlfriend with the fucking punk rock and the hairdo and the fucking lip and all that stuff. They wish they had a girlfriend of any kind, probably some of them.
Go to Williamsburg.
But besides that, she just escaped. She didn't escape, and she did escape, but in their mind, she was stabbed in the back by the evil empire. She was fired by those assholes that they hate, the WWE, and that makes her, no matter what she does, more popular than Thunder Rosa, who didn't just get fired from the evil empire. Anybody that leaves the WWE at this point for that fan base is going to be more over than they ever have before in their lives, and possibly sometimes more over than they need to be, just because of that fact. Prove me wrong. Hide and watch.
Well, the other thing I was going to say is, again, great episode. You and I both really liked it. I was surprised that you were as positive as you were about the Omega match, but you watched it fairly, it seems. And you realize...
I don't like him, but I will recognize that, yes, he can do good when in with one of the best wrestlers in the world.
So the pay-per-view they just had, you and I both said was the best big event they've ever done.
Yeah.
And it did their record buy rate. This is now the best television show they've done. I've seen little bits of Friday's show. I was tired, so I'm not going to say too much, but maybe not as good when it's not as live and early in the evening. But they have a lot of momentum, and we've watched a lot of WWE TV. Let's take NXT out of the equation. Just Raw, SmackDown, pay-per-views. The feeling you get, the crowd, the way they pop, what they're popping for, it's like two different worlds. I mean, it really has become... Tony should use it as an insult. You know, no, we do wrestling. They do sports entertainment. You know, Vince says, oh, you know, they do wrestling. We're entertainment. Yeah. Use it the other way, because it's true now.
I always have.
And boy, the difference has never been bigger. Just the presentation, what's getting on TV, who your audience is. Because, like, even the stupid shit in AEW, and it wasn't on this show, the people may act like they're idiots, but they don't pretend like the audience is idiots. The audience may be idiots and go along with the idiot that's saying the stuff, but they don't pretend like the audience is five and stupid like WWE does. And boy, AEW has all the momentum, and someone's going to say, oh, look how much business WWE does. Look at their ratings. Not paying attention if that's what you're focusing on. There's something going on here right now, and the decline of Vince McMahon plays a big part in it, but this was a great show with great matches. More wrestling on this show than any other show. We did those stats earlier, per hour, that aired this week, and there's a reason why people were buzzing about it and watching it. They're presenting wrestling. They're presenting serious promos. You hit on a big thing earlier. Punk doing a great promo, and it ends, and he leaves. And you know what? There was no run-in. There was no attack, and I still want more.
Yeah, because there's more left to get. Rather than, well, they've done it all now. They've dropped the cow. And that's also what you just said. There's life to this show when they put the stars in and things are going well. Whereas the WWE programs, it's just dreary. You can tell the boys and girls probably don't really want to be in. The only ones that want to be involved with the shit that they're doing are the ones that are lucky to be doing anything, anywhere. Then they're like, oh yeah, we'll do all this silly shit. But the other shows, SmackDown, as we've said, except for Heyman and Reigns, are fairly dead and dull and boring. And NXT, they've gutted. And Raw, we haven't even braved in quite a while because it's 3 hours, and holy shit, it's more sports entertainment than SmackDown and NXT has been. So I've said before, this is a fight where it looks like both sides were trying to lose in their own way. But now it looks like the WWE is just lost, and Tony Khan has sat here, and sooner or later, even a blind squirrel will find a nut. And all of this talent is coming to him, and he's turning the thing around, and it's not necessarily a situation where anybody in AEW has learned anything as much as they're just letting the guys, more of the guys who know what to fucking do that, because more of the guys that know what to do have now come to work there. And on the other side, almost none of the talent has any privilege or right or chance to change apparently any of the scripted shit or change their angles or whatever. And it's just fucking brutal. So I think that we're not that far away. And I think if Ric Flair would have made a big difference, and, you know, maybe hopefully he still will at some point, they'll just let all that die down.
Yeah,
I don't know what Bray Wyatt's going to do.
Steen, Generico.
I was about to say Steen and Generico in the next 3 months. I can see Dynamite whipping Raw. And somebody said, well, Dynamite already whipped Raw in a fucking demo. I don't give a shit about the demos. I'm not an advertiser, and I don't give a fuck. I want to know how many people are watching one show and how many people are watching the other show. If more people watch one show than the other show, that means that more people like one show than the other show, and that means that show is better than the other show. And that's what's going to happen. Raw is eventually going to get the shit kicked out of them, or at least beaten in the ratings legitimately in terms of overall viewers by Dynamite if they don't do something quick here. And SmackDown, even though it's on Fox, that's network TV. You can get that through the air. You can pick it up on the fillings in your teeth. That still may not, because SmackDown is a fragment of the audience it used to have years ago. I mean, you know, the gap is not like it was in 2006 with the WWE and TNA. If TNA did 25% of the total audience of Raw, that was cause for celebration, right? Back in those days. They're not a million apart. So for the WWE to think, oh, we got this handled, fuck you. And the more corny, cartoony, goofy 80s horseshit WWF that they stick into this show, the better it's going to help Tony Khan. Because most wrestling fans didn't want to see that in the 80s, much less now. T.L. Hopper may make a comeback. I'm not talking about Tony Anthony. I'm talking about the gimmick. Tony Anthony could fucking go. T.L. Hopper was an abortion.
I've talked to you a little bit lately about the 86 Mets. They had a general manager who built an amazing team and then started dismantling it. He oversaw the building of the team as well as the destruction of it. Vince built his company. Maybe he's going to be the one to destroy it.
That's right. Nobody's going to fuck this company up but me, pal. Well, all right. So have we given up on NXT?
Oh, yeah. I gave up on that a long time ago. I don't know why you didn't give up on it.
Because I thought, you know, there's still something here. And then over the past couple of weeks with everything that's going on, I've said, I want to see how bad they can fuck it up.
It's like now SmackDown. I know. It's like SmackDown, and I'm assuming Raw if we watched Raw. SmackDown, we know we'll get something good with Heyman and Reigns. And with NXT, we know we want to see what Steiner's going to do. The problem is the rest of the show. Problem is every single other thing on that show, including at times things that interact with the one segment you want to see. It's unwatchable TV. They're doing the worst TV. WWE, I'm a wrestling fan. WWE is horrible television. Not wrestling television, just horrible television. It's really, really bad television. And awful wrestling television.
So NXT from now on, I'm going to zip through to see Steiner. In a couple of days, I'm sorry?
I said you should zip tie it and throw it away.
Well, in a couple of days, we're going to do the drive-through, and we're going to talk about Friday night's AEW as well as SmackDown. And I got to be honest with you, I don't think I'm going to be as positive about this Friday night AEW program because I've seen the matches advertised, and they're going back to the Hardley Boys are wrestling, and we're going to have to look at Dino Douche and some of the C team.
You know what, though? Can I say one thing about that?
Sure.
They open with the right thing to open with on a Friday night at 10 p.m., and then after it, just remind yourself, it's Friday night, and we're getting closer to 11. It's Friday night, we're close to midnight. So in that sense, I'm giving it a little bit of slack over Dynamite, but your overall premise isn't wrong.
Living it up.
Now, how much of SmackDown?
Friday night.
I have it on my DVR. How much of SmackDown do I have to watch?
Well, I'm going to do, from now on, that's what I was going to say. Fuck NXT except for anything involving Steiner. I'm going to watch SmackDown. I'm going to zip through, and we're going to watch Reigns and Heyman and or anything else that catches our eye that we think should be good. And I don't know what else we can do with the Raw.
I think we keep doing with Raw what we've been doing, which is we look through clips if people say, hey, did you see this? And then we can go, yes, we saw Nia Jax fall on her ass.
Yes, but we do have to keep up with AEW because they got the momentum now. And like I said, let's see what they do with the Friday program when they put the C stringers in.
Yeah, that may be rough. Wednesday night's one thing. Friday on an ongoing basis. We'll see what you think of this week and then next week. But last week's show was really rough.
Yeah, last week was just god-awful. Last week's hurt my feelings. But anyway, if we haven't hurt your feelings so far today with this program, well, you don't have any feelings left to hurt, folks. But we'll get you next week, one way or the other. I promise you, if your feelings are not hurt now, we'll get to you next week. I don't want anyone to feel left out. Closing thoughts, Brian.
We will see you on the drive-thru where we will have questions. I know people have been asking, where are we going to get questions answered? The answer is the drive-thru this coming week.
Wait, the people have been asking, where are we going to get questions answered? Well, you just answered their question.
I did.
All righty. So that will be on the drive-thru in a few days. Get well, Travis Bickle.
Travis Heckle.
Whatever. And for the rest, anybody else that's feeling puny, you get well too. Unless in case you're somebody that I don't like, in which case, get worse. And otherwise, we will be back on the drive-thru, and hopefully they'll do this again next Wednesday night so I can have something to look forward to. Otherwise, thank you, fuck you, and bye-bye, everybody.